Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your money, your taxes, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry.
This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs.
Back in your pocket.
Good morning, you beautiful bunch of Fockers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Tuesday, April 2nd. We are here live. It is time for the Power Hour. I've got the team here with me from Pittsburgh Power. Let me see if I got this right. I think we'll be talking with Bruce and Leroy and Eric today. I think Eric is sitting in for Pete. So we will get to those calls here in just a little bit. Line them up. The number to join us, if you're going to dial, 319-527-6791, or hit that call now button on your app. That will get you in here as well. Looks like we're lining up the team. I am also... we should be live streaming both video and the show to X Live, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. I spent all day and most of last night working on the technology. It's working so far, I believe. I mean, it looks like it's going out from my end. I don't know what's happening on those other services. We'll be checking throughout the day to see how that goes. That should become a regular thing. It will be the way we market to new listeners. We've got to start getting some new listeners in and growing the tribe. So a daily live video on those three platforms. Like I say, we'll now I did have one tiny little glitch, and it always happens about 5 minutes before I restarted everything. And my external monitor decided to give me fits. So not a big deal, just means I got to move a lot of stuff around and work on a little screen, but I think I can handle that. And it looks like, let's go ahead and bring in, I think this should be Bruce. And I see Eric and Leroy on the other line. Let's try, Bruce, good morning, is this you? Bruce? Oh, boy. Let me make sure we're not having a technology issue here. Brittany, are you hearing me on the phone system? If not, let me try to make some adjustments. We tested this yesterday and everything worked. We tested it last night and everything worked. Hold on. Let me try Eric and Leroy real quick and see if maybe they're hearing me. Eric, Leroy, good morning. No, it seems like that may be the issue. Let me try this. Okay, so here we go again. We're not getting audio through the phone system. Wow, it just doesn't seem to matter how many times I test this. We go live, and this is what we get. I think at this point, all I can do is either try to restart Blog Talk, which doesn't always work well, and sometimes it won't let me start a show. Or we may have to switch to call-in studio, and I have no idea what will happen with that. Let me make sure I don't have anything set wrong. right, I am going to stop the live broadcast for a couple of minutes and try to get things restarted on my end. Let's see. Anybody there? Bruce? Brittany? Brittany, can you hear me?
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio.
To start your show now.
Your show is scheduled to start in 24 seconds. We are sorry, but we are experiencing a problem with our system. Please try your call again later or report a problem through the Blog Talk Radio webpage.
To start your show now, press 1. To hear important instructions, press 2. To start your show now, press 1. To hear important instructions, press 2.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Brittany, are you hearing me on the phone system now? Brittany's not connected. Let me try Pittsburgh Power here. Good morning, guys. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I had to go to the landline. I couldn't hear you on my cell phone.
Yeah, I don't think it was your phone, but that's all right as long as you're here. It was on my end. I had to reconnect everything. So we're going to go back live again because I think I got this.
Okay.
Good morning once again, you beautiful bunch of Fockers. We may have recovered here. I wasn't confident because a lot of times when the phone system doesn't work the first time, we don't get a second shot. Now, it looks like I've got a show set up for a full 3 hours, and it looks like they're hearing me on the phone system. So we're going to give this a shot. I'm encouraged that it worked. I just had to hit all the right buttons and restart things. So let's jump right into it. We are here live. It is the Power Hour. If you want to join us, hit that call now button on your app. If you're going to dial a phone, here's the number 319-527-6791. We also, I believe, are live streaming to X, Facebook, and YouTube, and it looked like that stream just kept going. Wow. Yeah, it looks like I'm getting all kinds of comments coming in. There's a chat on that live, too, so good stuff. Hey, everybody over at X, Facebook. I see one in there from YouTube. Wow. All right, that's kind of exciting. Bruce, you're here with me. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin.
Well, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, likewise. You're back from all your traveling.
Well, I
had a little.
Go ahead. I have to travel again next week already, and then that's the last trip till fall. I try not to go anywhere all summer long. I just like to hang out here in the gorge because the weather's so beautiful. So, done traveling until next week, then one more trip.
Are you renting cars when you travel?
I can't remember the last time I rented a car. Uber and Lyft make everything so easy. I don't have to mess with the car. Don't have to take it back. Don't have to pick it up. Don't have to figure out where I'm going, where to park. And I spend a little more money depending on the length of the trip. If it's a short trip, a couple days, it's usually cheaper to Uber, Lyft. If it's going to be a week and I'm taking a lot of trips back and forth, it costs a little more. It's just worth it for me not to have to worry about one more thing.
So when I flew to Colorado, to Denver, it was a Saturday, which I try not to do, for the owner-operator snowmobile conference. I walk into Avis and Budget to rent a car, and the line's about 150 feet long.
Ooh.
And you know, if you're 5 back, you'll stand there for a half hour.
Right.
So I talked to some people. They've been waiting for 6 hours for a car. So I walk outside, and I go to where they're cleaning the cars, and they do it outside.
Right.
In the wintertime, these companies do not have a garage.
Nope.
Neither in Louisville do they have a garage to clean cars. They do it all outside. How are you supposed to clean a car when it's 10 degrees outside?
It's not easy.
So, that's right. So everybody agreed, we'll take the cars dirty. People just wanted to get out of there. So we get this car.
Bruce? Did we lose you? Uh-oh. Come on. Don't do this. I hope this is on Bruce's end somehow. Hold on. Let me try another line just to see what might be going on. We having internet issues here? We may be. Come on. Got all the technology working and now the internet's going to mess with me. Let me try Oh, hold on. Let me check our internet connections. We have multiple connections. This shouldn't happen. No, it looks like our internet connections are fine. It's not on our end. It might be our phone server. Let me check one more thing. It is definitely not our internet connections. Our internet connections are rock solid. It is our phone server. So it says website under maintenance. Our engineers are working hard. We'll be back online shortly. I tell you, it's the resistance working against me. I have everything working on my end. There's not a whole lot I can do when our phone systems go down, except try to switch the whole setup over to our backup phone system. But I don't think I want to try that yet. Hold on one second. Let's see if we can get this working. Again, if it truly is the phone server's down, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. And it looks like it doesn't want to load the system at all. All right, let me think how we might be able to recover this. Let's try going to our backup phone system and see if I can set up another show. And I haven't done that in since before the truck show, and I've made a lot of changes to my system. But we're going to give it a shot. All right, I'm going to stop the live stream on the app for a couple minutes. I'll keep the live stream going on the video streams while I try to get this up and running. If we manage to pull this off, it will really be a miracle.
Ready to connect. Click connect to show now.
It's nice to have a backup. It's just a pain to have to continue to do this. I'm in and connected, so we will see if when we get our call screener in here, if we have audio communications both ways. It's interesting. The one thing I was worried about today, the new video live stream seems to be working really well. Maybe I'll figure out later today how we could use that as a backup. I'm just not sure how anybody can talk to us on that one. All right, it looks like we've got somebody in here. On the queue. Hold on one second. Brittany, can you hear me? Okay, let me try reconnecting my call.
Ready to connect. Click connect to show now. Did as the host. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the Call-in Studio web interface.
All right.
Audio recording is on.
All right, let me try this again. Brittany, are you able to hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to try again. We may have recovered here. Talk about having plan A, B, C, and possibly D. Let me hit broadcast on the app. I believe we're back. If you are listening, We will scramble to try to get the call now button working. If not, here's the number to call. We are on our backup phone system, 855-950-3835. The audio seems to be working. We'll bring Pittsburgh Power and Bruce back in here in just a second. Looks like the live stream on X, YouTube, and Facebook is holding up. I think we're working on Plan C at this point, but we will persevere. Let's see if we can hear. Who's this on the line with Pittsburgh Power? Is this Leroy and Eric?
It is.
All right,
doing,
guys. Oh, well, I'm encouraged that we're on Plan C and something is actually working for now. And
it's trippy.
I am going to have, I'm going to have to say this time it was nothing on our end. A lot of times it's user error or our internet's rock solid. We have multiple backups on that now. I had everything working right, but our first phone server just decided to die, and it died for everybody. So we're on our secondary phone server, and it seems to be working. So while we're waiting for Bruce to get in here, let me let everybody know. The call now button will work if you close out your app and then restart it. And you can jump in here and join us. We'll line up those calls right now. So while we're waiting for Bruce, let's talk to you guys. Eric, we haven't heard from you in a while. What's up this morning?
Oh, a little bit of everything. Word for the day is diversity. We have a lot going on here, as well as you, apparently.
Yeah.
I should talk real fast. The Louisville Truck Show. This was my first year to actually experience it firsthand.
Oh, wow.
And it was quite something. It was not what I expected at all. Much, much bigger as far as
it's big.
The physical, everything. Yeah. I actually timed myself. It took 5 minutes to drive around the complex in the truck, going from one point to the other. It's crazy large.
Yeah. Now let me just explain, though, that it's smaller than it used to be. The last several years, it keeps shrinking, and it's just general truck shows, trade shows. That's a trend everywhere. The south wing, down where all the meeting rooms are and where I was holding the CMC, that building, we're only using half the space of that building we used to use. The rest of it used to be loaded with all the OEM trucks. Peterbilt had just this monster booth with like ladies in evening gowns playing baby grand pianos, and it was quite the spectacle. All the new trucks were in there. The OEMs have decided that I think they might be talking about doing every other year. They spend so much money on that show, and they say, look, we don't have something new every year, which is true. That for them, it makes sense when they have a new model. But if they don't have anything new, they haven't been coming. So part of the reason the CMC is now an official part of that is because Toby Young, the owner of the show, that's third generation in that family, by the way. Toby's grandfather started that show 50-some years ago. Now Toby runs it. I actually met one of Toby's uncles who that's the only week he works is when that show's happening. Just a lot of history and tradition there, but Toby wants to turn that whole week in Louisville into like Truck Week. Bring other events, other organizations. If it can happen on the property, great. If not, he's working on other arrangements around Louisville, which I think is a great idea. You know, for example, I have to go speak at TIA next week in Phoenix. Honestly, I wish that just would have been part of the week at Louisville, and I could have knocked it all out at once. TMC was a week or two before, I think, in Orlando. That's another one. They're so close, and everybody's in Louisville. So I hope Toby's able to grow on that idea throughout the years as we move forward. But if it feels big now, plus there was another building they used to use. I forget. It was down by you guys in the West Wing, I think. There's a whole nother building that I don't think they're using anymore. But it's still big. It's just used to be a lot bigger.
One of our guys was down there too. Adam does our Hawkeye reports, and he was asking me, "Hey, did you see this truck? Did you see that truck?" No,
yeah, right.
I didn't even know those. Yeah, there was like hidden compartments, almost like a treasure hunt to try to find these trucks everywhere. But I when we got there Wednesday, we set up and we were walking out, and there was a Ford Aeromax off to the side, and the color of the blue kind of caught my eye. So I walked over and just kind of looked at it real fast, and a younger gentleman shining it up, and we got to talking a little bit, and I saw he had a little die-cast model of monster truck Bigfoot, and I said, "Is this Bigfoot's old hauler?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I bought this from Bob Chandler's family."
Oh, wow.
Well, that's cool. And I said, "Do you happen to know by chance a guy named Eric Tack from Butler, PA?" And he smiled and said, "This was Eric's old truck." And I know Eric from Butler.
Really?
He grew up miles up the road. Yeah, it was just kind of a coincidence thing. It's neat hearing those kind of stories from other people, and then when you have one actually experience it down there, it just kind of made the connection. It was a cool trip. I really enjoyed myself.
Good.
It was a lot. I didn't realize like how mentally taxing it is. Like when I got back to the hotel room, I just wanted to vegetate. Like I didn't want to do anything, go anywhere. It was quite.
Well, and then a lot of times what happens, the longer you go there, the more people you work with in the industry, everybody wants to take that time and get together. So many nights it's like 3 different dinner invitations, and you're trying to, one, you're trying to recover from the day at the show, which doesn't happen. 2, you're trying to figure out how you can get the most people in for dinner at the same time. So you start combining groups. But then pretty soon the table's 15 people, and you can only talk to 2 around you anyway, so that doesn't do much good. So I like the direction Toby's going with it. We are already talking about next year, the CMC being Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 3 full days, and then having a party Thursday morning, kind of a breakfast get-together, and just hang out and then go right into the show. So I'm kind of looking forward to just making that a whole week and having more time to get together with people, a couple more nights to go out to dinner with people, because it's really nice. When you work in an industry like this, we're all scattered around the country. It's nice to get together.
I like putting faces to names. I like actually meeting the people that I've been talking to for over a decade now, and some of the older customers that I've had, like some of my very first customers, I got to reconnect. One guy, Eddie Anderson, I'll give him a little shout out. I haven't seen him in years, and we had an instant connection. When I first started here, I had a 65 Comet Cyclone. It was my dad's car.
Oh, wow.
And I drove it to work that one day, came here, and he had one. It was just kind of odd thing. And I threw him the keys. I said, "Hey, take it for a ride if you want." And he didn't, but just weird things you come across with people in life, how many common traits you have. It was cool to connect with a lot of this.
You've never thrown keys to me.
That's because I know how you drive.
I drive like a little grandma. What are you talking
about?
Who woke Leroy up?
I kicked him.
Yeah. Leroy, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey,
we should do a live stream on video so you can see that I'm not sleeping.
Well, actually,
that I'm awake.
I was just about to address that. I didn't want to spring it on you guys this morning, not knowing if you combed your hair, took a shower, what you might be wearing. But the setup I've got, I could send you guys a link, and you would be right in on video if you wanted to be. So if you guys are up for that next week, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I think Eric looks particularly good. The thing with Eric is he talks a lot with his hands. Like they're always moving.
So, I'm not even Italian, and I do that all the time. I don't know why, but I do.
Yeah, so it'll be entertaining at least.
You put me handcuffs on my mute. I can't talk.
Well, one of the things I had to do today, normally I stand and do my show, and I've got a really long headset cord so I can walk all around the room. I can go look out the window and daydream while people are talking. But I thought that's not going to work very good if I'm on camera and I keep wandering away. So I do have like my my shop chair in here, so I am sitting so that I don't wander off.
I wanted to circle back to the word of the day. I'm going to use diversity. I'm going to use that a lot today. I'm all proud of this. The trucks we have in the shop, I have 16 trucks that need attention today,
And like 4
Wow.
bays.
and yeah,
Oh,
and 5 mechanics.
yeah.
But I was the trucks and just the different types and styles.
The
It's
diversity.
the diverse. Yeah, thank you. We have a cat in here, prison frame, which I met that father and son team, Pfeiffer Enterprises. I met them in Louisville face to face. That was cool.
Yes, nice.
In frame cat. I have an in frame Detroit we just finished up. We have a 6.7 Cummins in a sewer truck.
Ooh.
It's a little tanker. I think about a
Oh, we've talked about that, yeah.
1,500, 2,000. Yeah, way undersized engine for that size truck, I feel. Another Detroit in frame. We're going to add an OPS on too. We have a DD15 in here with a dyno manometer. We're putting an OPS on it as well.
Okay.
Then we have an old school.
So wait a minute. Go
90
back.
Peterbilt.
Go back
Yeah.
to that. Why a manometer test? Something we're trying to figure out.
It was a new to me truck, so we're
Okay.
giving it like a full blown health report.
Got it.
He just wants to get a feel for what he paid for. I think he's going to be pretty happy. That truck did really well, actually, with what the numbers I put up.
Good. Good. Okay.
We have a 90 built with a big cam. We're going to check the liner protrusion and check the timing on it. We're going to pull the heads off of it. Just some minor maintenance for it, actually. 06 Peterbilt, we're doing a radiator and motor mounts, and those motor mounts are not very nice. I've heard a lot of compounded cuss words going on this morning out there.
Compound.
Yeah.
A lot
So
of diverse.
Yeah, more diversity.
so
Uh,
I
If
have to
anything,
ask.
I'm going to give a
Is this a regional thing? The word pronounced radiator. That must be a regional thing.
yeah, it's a Pittsburgh.
It must be, yeah. It's got to be a really small because it didn't travel west into Youngstown and Northeast Ohio because I've always said radiator, but it seems like everybody
Yep,
from
like pop.
Pittsburgh Power says radiator. Okay, got it.
I say radiator.
Bruce, I've heard you say radiator a lot, and you call it a rad, not a raid, when you shorten it.
Rad, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
rad. So, to me, it was a radiator, but I thought the rest of the country pronounced radiator.
They do. That's why I think this weird little Pittsburgh thing going on is unique.
Yeah, just like we say crick and everyone else says creek. We say roof and everyone else says roof.
All right.
Roof to me is,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. There
It all
we
started
go.
with that comment.
All right. Go ahead, Eric.
Let's let Eric finish up on
Yeah.
what's going on.
So the other one we have is kind of a minor celebrity, Jeff Lutz from the TV show Street Outlaws, Discovery Channel. We have his new toter in here. We're doing a hot rod package for it.
Oh,
We're going to
fun.
tune it up, give it some more power.
Yeah.
Of course, he needs that.
Of course.
Then we have another older cat in here, turbo, manifold, need a cylinder head, but he's going to upgrade his horsepower and torque. And we're also going to do the pico scope on it, looking for vibration. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute and let Leroy kind of a little bit elaborate on that, the new tooling and technology we have.
Okay.
We have another ISX in here for a boost leak. And he lost PSI because he was paying attention to his boost gauge, which I kind of wanted to touch on that too. A lot of people overlook that gauge. It's a very crucial one to pay attention to, and a lot of people just kind of forget about it.
So-
A guy I had here at the counter this morning just spec'd out a new truck, and he had to specifically ask for it. It wasn't even part of the gauge package he was looking for.
So we got to address this too, and let's do it while we're here right now. So over the years, we've been through changes in lots of things where we've been saying one thing, we sometimes have to amend it. If we go back, you guys are still building a lot of mechanical engines there. The Cummins, the big cams. That's a whole different world when you talk about a lot of things, gearing, all kinds of things. Then we move into those pre-emission electronic engines, which, there's still a lot of my favorites. And we have to gear differently. We talk about different RPM ranges. Boost and pyrometer are both really important on all of those engines, and we can learn a lot. A lot of the new engines now, boost has become almost irrelevant. We just have to make sure people understand that and know when you can use boost and when it just is irrelevant. On a lot of the variable geometry turbos, The boost is going to change every time the position of the vanes change, and we can't really interpret that anymore. And then we get into the turbo compounded engines, the Volvo and Mack turbo compounding. That changes all this. So as we keep spanning these multiple generations of engines, a lot of these topics don't have just a straightforward recommendation or answer anymore. So clearly on the engines where boost matters, boost really matters, and it's a great tool. I don't want people to get confused and think, well, why is my boost all over the place on this engine, and what can I learn from it? Sometimes nothing.
Yeah, exactly. These newer trucks are so much more complex.
Yes.
And everybody's evolved into their own forms. Like
very proprietary.
Some are using compound.
Yep.
Some are it's all in the branding now. It's really taken different paths.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's made your job a whole lot more difficult.
Everything to it. Intake and exhaust manifold, custom tuned for fuel economy, the fast fuel system, the OPS. We're doing a diesel force cleaning, the DPF alternative cleanings, fleet air filters. There isn't anything this guy doesn't want to do. He's doing everything on it. It's just going to be a one and done. We have a 17 Peterbilt in here, ISX. We're putting a fast pump on. Another one here for diversity. We have a Mack out back with a Mack engine.
Oh, nice.
The guy had a trouble. So we're going to
what
get
year
it
is
in
that?
Here hopefully tomorrow, Thursday. I haven't gotten it in just
What
yet.
year back?
It is a 17.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That'd be fun. A little bit different. I like having different things here. It makes the day go a little bit better. Then we have an 18 Kenworth. We're getting it better fuel mileage with some performance tuning. We have another 18 with a T680 that he bought our exhaust manifold and had a shop put it on, and they didn't change that bellows pipe. And that's one thing on these ISXs you do kind of want to change. You want to get in the habit of doing it.
What bellows pipe?
The one off the exhaust manifold that feeds the EGR system. It's that cast iron pipe. They usually leak a little bit after you change it.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yep. And then the last one we have, truck number 16, is a 13 Freightliner that we had a bunch of codes we're going to diagnose, but he did say once he started running the max mileage, the light did go off for the majority of the time. But I think he's got some pretty good issues going on there.
You're stressing me out with all this work.
Boy, I'm
job security.
That's right. I thought I was busy here, but you guys.
Ecoscope.
Yeah.
That was one thing I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on here and explain to the customers what that actually is.
All right, go ahead.
Still there?
Yeah. Hello?
Did we lose you?
Hello? Uh-oh.
I can hear you, Eric.
I'm hearing you guys. Are you not hearing me? Nothing should have changed.
I hear you, Kevin.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I'll check the live stream.
So, Leroy, that seems to be a problem on your end. Did you fall asleep and hit the mute button on your way down, or what? Hey, Bruce, while they're trying to figure that out, why don't you go ahead with what you've got today?
Did you hear me talk about what Avis was trying to do to me, Avis and budget?
I think when everything quit on us, we were talking about they were trying to wash the cars outside, couldn't get them clean, so pick up from there.
Oh, yeah. They sent me a bill for $250 extra for a little bit of sand on the floor. And I explained to them that they use sand on the roads in Colorado when it's snowing, and you're going to have sand on the floor. And then they forgave me of that $250. Yesterday, I get a bill for $396 for a broken windshield. I call them. I got a lady from St. Lucia, the island, and I said, there was no broken windshield. She said, oh, yes, there was. And we have pictures. I said, you better send me that picture. These cracks go halfway across the windshield. And I said, it's absolutely not true. I said, I turned that car back in on March the 5th. Why did it take you till now to say I have a cracked windshield? So she kept putting me on hold and would disappear for 10 or 15 minutes and come back. I called the other fellow that was with us. He got on the phone with her. He said, absolutely not. We washed that car twice. We had it in a heated garage.
we treated it was like our own.
Yeah.
And finally, she said, you know, I see a discrepancy in the mileage from when you turned it in till now. There was another 300 miles put on that car.
What?
And yeah, another 300 miles. So apparently the person after me, you know, and this happens, you know, this happens in Colorado with the gravel they put on.
Yeah.
And but they try to charge me now $396 and $250. I have a feeling they're having financial trouble. That's why they don't have enough rental cars. They don't have a garage for these people to work in. They can't even clean them for the people. So that didn't sit well with me. And the same thing happened at Louisville with 30 cars and waiting an hour and 20 minutes for a car. So I think the rental car companies are suffering from Bidenomics.
Boy, isn't everybody.
And yeah, so you got to be careful if you ever rent a car about these extra chargebacks because they have your credit card and they just put them on.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, the just crazy inflation. We do, I talked about this yesterday, we do a ton of stickers on our packages when we ship them out. We throw some extra stickers inside the box. We put stickers outside the box. I don't know how many designs we have, but 30, 40. Lisa sat down and spent all day making 10 new designs, went to order them, and from the last time we ordered them, it's probably been within a year. We try to order as many as we can at a time. The price actually doubled, 100% inflation, and yet they keep telling us the way they report it, inflation went down this month. No, it did not. The rate of inflation went down. Inflation went up again. It goes up every month, but it may not have gone up as much as it did last month, so they report that inflation is down. It's really misleading. So every month, the numbers just keep piling on, and I don't know how people afford much of anything right now.
Yeah, so it's a different world. The last 4 years have become very different.
Sure is. So we are going to we're going to try to bring Eric and Leroy back. Guys, can you hear us now? Boy. We are fighting through this. The good news is we're not giving up, and we're not giving in to the resistance, and everybody's back. So, Eric, do you want to wrap up what you had going?
Yeah, I don't know where we got cut off at.
Truck number 16, I think I remember hearing you say.
Did I say anything about the Mac we had?
Yeah, you did say you had a 17 Mac in.
And then we have 218 Kenworths in here for better fuel mileage, and then the manifold without the bellows.
Yeah.
Sure about that one?
Yep, we got through that.
Last one we have the 13 Freightliner with some codes. But he's been running the max mileage that's been able to actually help him out a lot to get the codes turned off. But the one thing I wanted to circle back was the Pico scope.
Yeah.
We actually have the older Cat strength vibration. Leroy explained what to do. It's just I like modern technology gadgets, and this is making me kind of geek out.
So somebody, hold on, Eric. Somebody is making a lot of noise in the background wherever you are. Now it got quiet. Yeah, much better now.
I slid my chair. Is that it?
Might have been. There was it sounded like somebody was stocking shelves behind somebody. There was a lot of banging, but it sounds better now.
Eric was at the table.
Yeah, we're good. It got quiet. So, all right, who's up next?
I have one thing.
Go ahead.
I have one other thing. Young man rebuilt his MBN cat. That was the 2003 Caterpillar. And he put 6 NZ pistons in it. He put an 800 marine cam in it. But he stayed with the MBN injectors. And the 3 different things on the MBN was the piston, the camshaft, and the injectors, and the turbo. Those are 4 things that were different, plus the ECM tuning. So he changed 3, but he didn't do the 4th. and at higher horsepower, he's getting a fluttering. And my suggestion was to get a set of 6NZ injectors in this truck and get away from the MBN injectors, because when you're making changes, if you're going to change from one style engine to another, you've got to change everything and not just 75% of it.
Yeah. Yeah. We used to talk about this issue a lot when we were rebuilding a lot of those pre-emission electronic engines, late 90s, early 2000s. And we would run across those trucks that we just couldn't figure out. Why aren't they getting better fuel economy? Why isn't the performance there? And we started figuring out that there was a lot of mixing and matching of parts going on, and it made it really tough to troubleshoot much of anything.
Right. And the two Peterbilts that I was working with, the Peterbilt engineers in Denton, Texas, to try to get 228 gears, but they would only go to 253s. They have been delivered in Maine. It's going to be about 2 or 3 weeks before we have any reports on fuel mileage.
Well, good.
They have the PowerHour engine. They have the 13-speed auto shift. 13 or 8, I think it's the 13. We wanted the 18, but they put the 13 in it. And the 253 gears in the aerodynamic peak. So we'll have some reports.
Excellent.
And according to the engineers at Peterbilt, they said this combination is doing about the same fuel mileage that the Volvo is in a fleet operation. Not owner-operated, but they said a fleet operation. So it'll be interesting to see how these do. Yeah. And we also have to keep in mind, they are up in Maine, so they don't have a whole lot of level terrain until they get to Ohio.
Yeah, that's a tough environment up there. You got all those short, steep pulls over and over and over. So driver makes a big difference in an environment like that. If you get these guys that just hit the cruise control and let it go, that'll kill their fuel economy. All right, so I had a comment there and I forgot what it was. It'll come back.
I have one other small thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got an excavator. This guy does in Park City, Utah. 6 months he trucks. 6 months he does excavation for custom homes. But he runs a cat. And he wants 1,000 horsepower. I tried to talk him into coming down to 800, but he wants 1,000 horsepower. But hey, we can do it for him. I'll spec the turbo and the manifold, and Leroy's working on the program, so we'll see how this one turns out. And again, we do have an A-Cert out there that's at 1,100 and some horsepower, and he does very well with it. But he used to road race Cobras at Nelson's Ledges road course in Warren, Ohio, and then he was a jet ski racer.
Oh,
and he was from your part of Ohio. So he's a performance-minded guy, and so he doesn't abuse his equipment, and it does very well for him.
Yeah, so I imagine if he's from that area, and I'm very familiar with Nelson Ledges, you used to race there. I used to hang out there as a teenager. He probably jet skis on Lake Milton, West Branch, all the same lakes I ended up skiing on all those years. So interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Leroy, what do you got today?
I had something, but I'm drawing a blank on what it was. So if I think of it, I'll come back to it at the end of the show.
All right.
But
well,
I had. Remember now.
Let's get to some phone calls then, because we've had people patiently waiting. Technology seems to be holding up. Our live streams are all working. So let's go to Mississippi to get started this morning. Tony, welcome.
Good eye, Mike.
You got to work on that. Is that Australian, New Zealand? It almost feels like it's somewhere in the middle there.
It'll piss Paul off. It's Australian, but yeah. Yep. I try to make like I'm Paul, but nobody can do that. He's too nice. You diagnosed me with
you do know that Paul's a Kiwi, not an Aussie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, got it.
I do now. I knew he was from New Zealand, but I don't know about Kiwi.
Well, that's what they call the people from New Zealand, Kiwis.
All right. You diagnosed me with a valve problem yesterday. Does that mean can I shut off my truck for this next hour sitting in Lucedale, Mississippi on my break?
Wait,
she won't derate me?
What valve problem did I diagnose yesterday?
Well, she was pushing soot out through
No.
the
Now
DPF,
I remember the call.
and
I didn't say valves. I said I thought you had an injector dripping because you said once it's running, it tends.
that's it.
There we go. Once it's running, it tends to run fine. But when you shut it off and restart it, you're getting a lot of black smoke. You're getting DPF clogged up. You had some hesitation before it warmed up, and I thought maybe we've got an injector dripping while it's sitting there, and you build up fuel. So now I know what call we're talking about. What's the update then?
I didn't say black smoke. Maybe I should shut it off and see. But can I save some fuel on shutting it off, or is she just gonna build up soot every night? Because I'm coming home tonight, and I want to shut her off for the 10-hour break, but I'm afraid she's going to derate the piss out of me.
Well, we've got.
Hey, thanks, Paul.
We've got more opinions
shut
here.
Me down tomorrow.
We've got more opinions here today, and that will help. If it's an injector that's dripping overnight, it's just going to keep dripping overnight till we fix it. If that's what's going on, you may not see black smoke the way we used to with the DPF catching a lot of that, but it sounded to me like you've got a fuel problem somewhere. And the other thing we could do to verify that would be to get an oil sample. If you've got an injector dripping overnight, you're going to have fuel dilution. So that's one way to check. And then I'll turn it over to these guys and see if they have any other ideas for you.
So no, you don't want me to shut it off because it'll derate the piss out of me and
I don't
have
know
me
if
going at 50% power.
I don't know if it will or not. Leroy, any thoughts here?
No, I would shut it off.
That's what I thought. I wouldn't let it run all night.
Yeah.
You're really.
I think we lost.
I think
we lost. And it derated you last night?
No, I kept it on for 8 hours. I'm on a 2-hour break now. I'm afraid to shut it off even for 2 hours.
I would shut it off.
8 plus 2 equals 10. Well, that's good. I'd like to shut it off and save fuel because I'm getting 6.1. That's still better than Paul. But, I'm way down from 7.5.
And it sounds like it.
Now, go ahead and shut it off. Kevin, this dripping fuel, there's a solenoid. What engine are we talking about?
I missed that. What brand? It's a PowerHour 13.
Okay. Leroy, are you back on?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Are you I'm not familiar with the PowerHour injector, but does it have a solenoid on it that opens and closes to let fuel in?
Yeah, you're going to have if it's common rail, you're going to have the piezoelectric type of injector, so there is an electrical connection there.
Do you think that can drip fuel when the engine's shut off?
Mechanically, it can, yeah.
Okay. I would go ahead and shut the truck off. It's only going to put fuel in that top bowl, and you'll get a burst of smoke when you start it, but there's no fuel pressure in the line, so there's not going to be that much fuel that goes in on top of that piston, and it'll stay in the bowl.
Bruce, I am on the catalyst only for a year, and I did miss a few doses. Didn't do the moment of silence or apology, but I am afraid to do that. I'm going to have to counteract because she has never said anything but 100% clean, everything on the DPF. That's without the catalyst. And now on the catalyst, if I shut this thing off right now, it goes to full blast full on the DPF, total derate. Stop the engine right now or you're going to blow up 50%, going up hills. I'm scared to death. Not right now. Not right now. Maybe next week. But by the way, Kevin, did you say that I'm due in Phoenix tomorrow? I mean, next week.
Yes, I'll be there anyway. There'll be a whole bunch of.
And was that the one where I have to talk to my girl from the Broker Academy
Yes.
that loves me when I come on?
Yes.
That's the one that I'm supposed to be at?
Yes, exactly.
All right. I don't want to miss that like I did last week at Louisville, but okay, on the oil sample, you forgot to remind me. You said you'd help me to pay $180 for the Volvo and $90 for the new Peterbilt. But you forgot to tell me whether I need to get an oil sample out of these or not. Update, there's one in Tampa that's VGT for $79 with an APU. Do I need oil samples on these? And rig dig?
Here's rig digs, absolutely. And you can always do a rig dig. It's just get the VIN number, run the rig dig. The oil sample, the problem is the oil's probably been changed on these trucks. And if that's the case, and every dealer does it, as soon as they get the truck from an auction or where it trade in, they immediately service it, and an oil sample will be worthless. So the strategy is that you go to a dealer first, find a good sales guy to work with, tell them what you're looking for, and then say, when you find this truck, do not service it until I can pull an oil sample. But if they've already you just ask if they've already changed the oil. Don't bother with the oil sample. Then you're just got to take our chances at that point.
Okay. All right. My good guy in Tampa, I'm glad I called. Has me, that hideous copper VGT with a 2020, same mileage as the 22 with TC in Fort Worth. That was a FedEx contractor. You told me to pay $180 for that, and it's only $90. He has me
the other
mileage,
90 is my commission.
better interest rate.
Since you were willing to pay $180 for the PACCAR product, I just figured we'd get you a good truck for $180, and I'll take the 90 as commission. Seemed like a hell of a deal to me.
I know. Well, how about $200 as commission for the one in Tampa with a Thermo King APU?
Hey, Tony, I hate to do this.
Do I need to pay $10,000 more for TC?
I don't know if we want to get this deep into this truck versus that truck, this spec versus that spec, oil samples, rig digs. That's what the coaching call's all about. So spring for a month of the coaching call, and we'll work in depth, and we'll find you the right truck.
But don't you have 10,000 other people that you're having to talk to at the same time?
No, the coaching calls are really, really going well. We have a ton of people on the calls, but most of them just want to listen. So I'm working with 2 or 3 really in-depth cases right now, helping somebody buy their first terminal, of all things, doing a turnaround on a small family fleet, and I think we have one maintenance issue. So I've got time, and that's the whole point. So here's the deal I'm going to make you. Spring for just 1 month of the group coaching, which is $72, and I'll waive my $90,000 commission on the truck. How's that?
Will you waive the mute button? Because you know how good I am at listening.
Sure. See, I have control. I can mute people easily on the group coaching call too. Most people, like I said, they're just sitting back and listening. I've had people that have been in it since the very beginning, and they've never asked a question. And when I talk to them, they don't plan on it. They just said they like to sit back and listen to the deeper cases and the troubleshooting. So that's what it's for, though, because we don't have time to go over all the specs, then send you away and have you get a rig dig. On the coaching call, you can submit all that stuff ahead of time. Then I can review it, and then when we get on the call, we spend as much time, we go as deep as we need to.
If people talk as much as I do, you've got your work cut out for you. I'll make you work for that $79.
You should. We have 2 hours every week, and we finish up right at about the 2-hour mark most weeks. So, all right, speaking of which, we're going to cut you loose this time, and you can always call back on the show, but we can go a whole lot deeper on the group coaching. Let's go to Tennessee this time. Ilya, welcome.
Good morning, Kevin. How's it going?
Good. What's on your mind today?
I had a quick question, but real quick, also something to add on. If Tony's interested in a Volvo, the guy I bought my Volvo from, he has another one that's still for sale, and I think it's a pretty good price. It's 2020 with a little bit under 500,000 miles with a 264 ratio and low idle time with the APU. And I think it's just over 50,000 in Memphis.
Ah, okay. There are a lot of really interesting trucks on the market right now at good prices.
Yeah, especially the used ones. Like for 30,000, you could probably get like a pretty decent truck right now. From what I've seen on like for sale.
Sure can.
So my question was, you probably saw it on X. I hit something with, I guess on the road yesterday that I couldn't go around, and I got a hole in the fuel tank. And basically what happened was, like, I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this. The roadside guy disconnected the one fuel tank, so it's just running with the second fuel tank. And the crack in the fuel tank itself was maybe like I don't know, like the size of like a quarter sideways, like thickness wise, and that's it. So what I was told was, since the tank is aluminum, is like the aluminum wheel repair guy would be able to fix that versus replacing the whole tank. So I just wanted to see what you guys thought of that.
If you're going to take the tank off, they fill it with water and then they weld on it. There's no reason why an aluminum welder can't fix that.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. It's basically empty. I think it should be empty now because the hole is actually basically completely on the bottom, so everything emptied out anyway. What was left, we transferred it to the other tank.
Any good aluminum welder can fix that.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. And also too, I used the catalyst, and it was pretty interesting to see like the difference in like the diesel color versus like what comes out of the pump. It was basically almost the same as like catalyst. So
the fuel that was in the tank was the same color as the catalyst?
Almost, yeah. I mean, the shade was a little bit different, but it was like definitely an orange color.
It's interesting.
Coke. Rum and Coke.
All right.
Well, that's all I got.
All right.
That 1 ounce in 25 gallons would actually change the color. I'll have to look at that.
Yeah. Ooh.
I'll get a clear jug, put an ounce in it, put a gallon of fuel in a clear bottle, and put 1 ounce in it, or 1 cc in it, and see if that changes the color.
All right. We are going to our last phone call. Not sure what's going on with the calls. We have all the technology figured out. I know it's kind of a rough start today on the app, but the app is up and working. Our phone system is working. So restart your app, and then you can hit that call now button, or you can dial 855-950-3835. We are live streaming the show on X, Facebook, and YouTube, and it looks like we've got a lot of people listening. Have any others? Let's go to Tennessee. Phil, welcome.
Good morning, guys.
What's on your mind today?
I believe, well, I've got an issue here. I got this old cab over that I rebuilt last year. How I didn't notice this until now is, I don't know. My drive shaft was put in backwards. So the slip yoke was on the rear end, not the transmission. The shop right now. All the bolts on the transmission backed off. Some of them broke.
What engine's in this? What engine and what kind of truck?
What year? All the details.
Did you put a new torque?
There's less than 100,000 miles on this engine at this point.
But not on the dampener. More than likely, they don't replace them many times. That's what it sounds like.
Right. Do you think there was excessive vibration due to it being put in backwards?
I would start there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
I mean, you have to start with a known, and that's your known, and so you know that that's backwards. So that's what I would start with.
Okay.
Are you feeling anything up through the seat and through the steering wheel and through the pedals?
No, but I'm getting a vibration between 55 and 60 miles an hour.
So does that vibration
Right.
occur if
both accelerating and and
got it?
slowing down?
That was going to be the question.
Yeah.
Now, will it vibrate if you were to push in the clutch at that speed or drop it into neutral? Does the vibration go away?
I didn't try that.
What that will tell us is it engine or is it drive line somewhere? If you push in the clutch or put it in neutral and the vibration's still there, it's not the engine. It's going to be drive line. If it goes away, then like I said, it's not engine. Make sure I'm saying that right.
Okay.
But so that's one more test to try to isolate where that vibration might be coming from.
I would take that drive shaft back to a drive shaft shop and have them check it, tell them it was installed backwards, and have them check it for being straight and balanced, and then put it in the proper way, and let's see if that goes away.
Aren't they directionally balanced when they balance them? So if you flip it around the other way, it's like you're having the weights on the wrong end. You've moved all the location of all the weights. So it would be a completely unbalanced drive shaft.
Yeah, you would think so.
If they're directionally balanced, then putting it in backwards would be 100% unbalanced.
Yeah. And what other? I'm not sure what else that would do to put it backwards. I don't know. The best thing to do is get it out, get it rechecked, and put it back in the right way and start there. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm doing. I mean, I've got bolts that back. I was able to slide my finger between the block and the transmission.
Wow.
This thing was about to fall out of the truck.
Yeah, it was.
You know, it broke some of the bolts, some backed off. It wiped out my clutch.
Boy, at that point, I would probably get to a good driveline shop and transmission and have them pull the transmission and inspect it at this point.
Yeah, the transmission's out of it right now. So.
Yeah, I'd have somebody that knows what they're doing really look at that transmission before you put it back in.
Where are you located?
Oh, I'm down here in Cookeville, Tennessee.
Okay.
I'm one of your remote tuners.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, out of Nashville. So, all righty. Well, I won't waste any more time.
All right.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for the call.
Bye.
Call us back. Let us know what's going on with that one. I'd like to hear. All right. Calls are coming in. I had a feeling people were sitting back and waiting. Let's go to Texas. Kevin, welcome.
Hey, how y'all doing today? I'm glad to hear y'all back after a week off, but
almost 2 weeks for me.
I don't mean to get in your right. I don't mean to get in your britches pocket, but that guy was asking earlier if it was worth paying the $10,000 more for a TC other than a VGT. Absolutely, I think it is.
Well,
the
only thing I'm going to say is I need to know all the rest of the specs. But he was jumping around from so many different trucks, and he wasn't taking his time to. So it's easier when I've got multiple trucks to try to compare like that. That's what the coaching call is about. I mean, on the surface, yes, I prefer a TC, but if they spec'd it wrong, then I may just pass. I like I said, he was jumping around too much to know. We need to know which transmission, what gears, the whole shot, more about his operation. It was just getting too complicated with comparing multiple trucks like that without knowing all the details of every truck.
Right. Well, I've got a buddy, and he's got the same truck. We both run dry bulk at the same company, so we both run the same loads. just at different times. You know, we don't follow one another,
Right.
and you're going to have different wind variations, and of course different parts. But I've got the TC, and he's got the BGT,
So,
and also mine is a 23, and I think his is a
so
21.
stop right there. Hold
But
on. This is why we don't make these kinds of comparisons as though they mean something. Because you just gave me two major, you said the trucks are the same, then you gave me two major differences. I could go through a couple dozen minor differences. We don't know how the parameters are set. We don't know who's got what rolling resistance on tires. We don't know about aerodynamic improvements on some, or I could just go on and on and on. And when we try to make these
right, well,
comparisons, it just confuses people, and they start to believe, oh, well, this has to be better than that because this truck got, well, no, that's not true. There's just too many variables.
well, that's what
Uh-oh, Kevin, we're
I
losing.
get about
Oh, there you
7
are.
tenths of them. I get anywhere from 5
So,
to 7 tenths miles to the gallon, and all of the variables are the same.
no,
So
they're,
absolutely, over the life of
Kevin,
the truck,
stop,
I would say.
stop. First off, that's an illogical statement. The variables are not the same, they're variable. You just told me a couple of big ones that would have a huge impact on fuel economy. I mentioned 2 or 3 or 4 more that would have a significant impact. Here's another one. Unless you two do absolute controlled testing and switch trucks, the driver can be a 30% difference. That's huge. So I don't mean to be rude about this, but I deal with this all the time, and people will call and say, but you said the other day that this is a... No, I did not say that. The caller may have, and I try as hard as I can to get people to understand you can't make a comparison like this that's meaningful. Not unless we did really extreme testing, switched drivers, listed all the different variables. If you have 20 more points of rolling resistance on your drive axle tires, there's 0.2 of a mile per gallon. If we have different parameters set, I could go on and on and on. So we can talk about those things, but I want to make it clear to people there is no meaningful comparison when you try to do this between 2 different trucks, 2 different drivers, and a bunch of different specs. They're not the same truck. They're not even close.
Well, I mean, that's what I was getting at. I understand. I've been listening to you for a long time, but we have the same tires. We both run the cruise the majority of the time.
But, Kevin, why do you keep doing this? You're trying to convince me that you've accounted for all the variables, and you tell me you listen all the time, but I'm telling you you're not accounting for the variables. You have the same tires. Tell me the tread depth on all of them because it matters. That's how minor this... we got to get down to every little detail. So rather than try to compare trucks and just confuse everybody, just talk about the fuel economy on one truck at a time. Don't make a comparison between the two as though we can learn something from comparing them. We can't.
All right, well, I guess that's all I got then.
And again, I don't mean to be rude, but we've got, tens of thousands of listeners that get confused about this. And I just went through this earlier that now we're talking about mechanical engines sometimes, pre-emission electronic engines, really modern engines and drive lines. That's hard enough to keep all that straight. When I hear we have the same truck, no, you don't. No, there aren't 2 trucks on the road that are that identical, and then the driver's a big factor. So yes, you use your crews most of the time. That doesn't cut it. There's so much more than that. So I don't mean to get, well, no, I do mean to get frustrated. I got to make that point or we're just going to confuse people. Let's go to, go ahead, Bruce.
Why not leave the cruise control off for a couple of days and check your fuel mileage? Hold the throttle steady.
If we controlled all the other variables, weight, temperature, wind conditions, 3 days may not be enough. I mean, we've talked about in the past when I did fuel mileage testing, We had to have a 30-day period prior to the test where nothing on the truck changed. We couldn't change a tire. We couldn't have something fixed. That could affect fuel economy. After 30 days of proving that this is a good baseline, then we make one change and we do it again for 30 days. And if we don't get a good, clean 30 days, we throw the whole test out. And then on top of that, I would attempt to test 2 trucks with the change and 1 truck running the same lane that didn't get a change as the control truck. And even with all that, there is still the possibility that something happened and we couldn't understand why. There were times where the 2 trucks that we made the change to, 30 days prior, 30 days after, gained 0.3 of a mile per gallon. Both of them did. And you would think, oh, well, that change had to work, except the control truck that had no change also gained 0.3. So now what do? It's an outside factor like weather or weight or something else going on. So I just don't want people to get into this mode that we learn something by making these random comparisons between 2 different trucks for a day or 2 or for a week or 2 or even for a month or 2. You just can't test fuel mileage that way.
Kevin, I just recently learned that some new trucks have adaptive cruise control.
Yes.
And so whenever a vehicle comes in front of it, naturally, it's going to slow down. And then when it allows, I'm wondering how hard that's going to accelerate to get back up to the given speed.
Well,
and that will drastically affect fuel mileage because, you know, if you're going down a highway, let's say 65 mile an hour, and somebody comes in front of you or it's going to stop, and you're going to go down to 50. To get back to your 65, that should be a gradual process.
Yes. So.
And if adaptive cruise is just going to hog into the throttle and take it wide open
let me,
or close to it.
Let me explain how I understand adaptive cruise to work. And there are different systems. Again, these are proprietary. But it goes beyond just the other vehicles affecting the cruise. It is all mapped out with GPS. When they say adaptive, it knows there's a hill coming. And the engineers are attempting to do what the best driver would do. The cruise isn't dumb anymore like it used to be. And like you said, all it knew was it had to get back to that speed. These are much, much more intelligent cruise systems that know the terrain, they know the grade, they know the length of the grade, and the engineers are working to program those things to be as good or better than the best driver. I would assume as traffic affects speed that, again, they're not just putting full throttle to it like dumb cruise used to. They're actually trying to optimize that fuel economy. Now, we also know that things in the lab and on test tracks don't always correlate to real world, but we're starting to see some pretty impressive numbers out of some of these cruise systems. Leroy, any thoughts on those? Have you studied how they're setting any of that up?
Just stepped out for a second.
Yeah, okay. All right, maybe we'll come back to that. We are starting to get some calls piled up. So, hey, Bruce, I think you've got a lot of noise in your line again. Sounds like somebody's.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear Bentley, which isn't a big deal, but it also sounds like somebody's stacking books around you or something. It's a lot of noise.
Fast, Kevin, I wanted to just touch on that part where you said about no trucks being the same, no drivers.
Yeah.
That's a big thing with us. We get a lot of calls, a lot of customers that say, hey, have you ever had this problem before? Yeah, we have. What was the fix? Well, it was this, but that may not fix your truck too. Or like this morning, I had 2 guys here, and they both have identical trucks. They're saying, hey, my truck's doing this. This is what fixed it. This is what you need to do to this guy's truck. That doesn't always happen because like what you said exactly is true. There's no 2 trucks alike. What may fix this guy's truck may not fix the next guy's. And at some point, somebody's going to start throwing money good after bad, and it's not going to be a good thing for you. So just because your buddy's truck may have gotten fixed that way may not fix yours. I just want to touch on that real fast.
Well, there's another good example of not, and we get the call all the time, and I know people are trying to help, and many times it does help. They'll say, well, I had that exact same problem and this fixed it. Well, it's something to look at. It's one more path, but it's not the exact same problem. It's not the exact same truck. There are so many variables, and you bring it up in maintenance because that's what you guys deal with every day. I bring it up with fuel economy because I've been dealing with this since the early 90s when I first started learning about fuel economy and testing. Here's another variable we wouldn't even attempt to control in the real world. When they do test track fuel mileage numbers, they don't measure fuel by the gallon, they measure it by the pound because it's a more accurate way of doing it. Temperature affects volume in fuel. As fuel expands, you're not as accurate. It can cool down. It makes it more dense. You get more fuel. So by weighing the fuel instead of measuring it in gallons, we get more accurate. But that's how minor we try to get down to when we're doing fuel mileage testing. So when I hear that, it's like, nails on a chalkboard for me. But I have to remember there's a lot of people that if I just let that go, then they'll say, oh, but I heard a call the other day and you said, well, no, I didn't. The caller said it and I just didn't correct them. So when it's said like that, I think we just have to keep correcting it so people learn.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to try to bring Bruce back. His line was really noisy, so I muted him. Bruce? Okay, sounds a little more quiet.
Is this any better?
Sounds a little more quiet.
Or should I call in on the landline and get off the cell phone?
Are you using your cell phone on speaker?
No, but I have hearing aids in, and it's going through the hearing aids.
Oh, yes, something is loud. It's
maybe you're hearing my mind work. You hear the gears turning.
Could be. It's not too bad right now. So
I'll call in on the landline.
Yeah, go ahead and do it because I can hear the noise in the background again. All right, we'll jump to a call.
Hey, real quick.
Sure.
Real quick. Being around engines my entire life, at least since I was 16. You lose a little tone here and there, and I had a hearing test done, and they said, well, there's certain tones you don't hear, and if you don't get hearing aids, you're going to bring dementia on sooner because your mind is working too hard to hear. But if you notice, all during the Louisville show, I didn't have hearing aids because they were being repaired, and I hear just fine, except for some tones. But the fact that the girl said it can bring dementia on sooner, because a lot of people, as we get older, might want to think about that.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm wearing them, even though I feel I don't need them. Okay.
Interesting.
All right, I'm going to call you back on the other line.
All right. Let's get back to the calls. Oh, hold on. I was going to bring in Jerry, but Jerry wants to talk to Bruce specifically. So Jerry, we'll come back to you. We'll go to Idaho and talk to Brant. Brant, welcome.
Hey, how you doing? I run older engines. Like the newest truck I have is a '99 with a DDEC 4 12.7. Then I have a 91 mechanical, and I have a slug of heavy equipment dating from 61 to 95.
Wow. Okay.
So, I recently have talked through networking. I was able to get sulfur from a refinery that is taken out of the fuel because it has to be 15 parts per million or less.
Okay.
So can I put that sulfur back in and when I'm running the older engines?
This
weekend I kind of
no idea.
I kind of did the math. And I had to do it by weight. I kind of used a bunch of rounded numbers because no one can agree what a gallon of diesel
Right.
ways, but just like you said in the last call, it depends on temperature and
Right.
humidity and a whole bunch of other factors. So I understand that, but using round numbers, I've got, how much to add to 150 gallons, how much to add to 50
So
gallons, and then if I break it down to 1 gallon, it's a really small amount.
I'll bet.
But I don't know if that'll do. I mean, I remember in 2003 when they dropped the sulfur level down to 15, everyone was saying, "Oh, your upper cylinder lubrication, your valve stem lubrication."
So
Everyone was griping that the engines weren't going to last, and I haven't seen that, but I can get free sulfur, so should I use it?
I'll give you my experience, and then Bruce, they may have an opinion on this. We may want to talk to Dr. Jane about this. My experience going from full sulfur when I first started, and then to the low, and then the ultra low. I was told the same thing. Not enough lubricity. You're going to mess up injectors and pumps. And the entire time I owned trucks, other than some winter additives, when it got really cold, or an injector cleaner a couple times a year, I did not add anything to the fuel. I can tell you that every Series 60 I owned, and that was the most common truck engine for me to own, I would keep them to 1.2, 1.3 million miles. When they were getting near an in-frame based on oil consumption, I was down to 4,000 miles a gallon, I would just trade them in. And I never had injector problems, never had pump problems. So for me, I couldn't see a reason to try messing around adding something back into the fuel. Now, the catalyst has become the one additive I'm a big, big believer in. And if I were running trucks today, certain trucks, I'd absolutely be using the catalyst. But I have not seen these issues with the low lubricity. So for me, there was just never a reason to even think about it. The guys in the shop may have a totally different opinion on that because they may see things differently. Bruce, what do you think?
Whenever there were a lot of big cam engines running, and the first time they took the sulfur, the aromatics, and the paraffin out, it was overwhelming. We could not fix fuel pumps fast enough. We weren't rebuilding them. We were putting new seals in, recalibrating, governor plungers. It was a nightmare.
Would you, if you had access to sulfur, would you try to calculate and put sulfur back into the fuel? Or is there a better additive we can put in to replace it?
To my knowledge, it's not sulfur that gives it lubricity. It takes the lubricity out of the fuel. It's how they remove the sulfur from the fuel. It also removes the lubricity. So just to add the sulfur, I'd want to double check with Dr. Jane on this, but I'm about 90% sure. I've heard this from a bunch of old timers, and I've done some research on it in the past too. When the refineries remove the sulfur, it removes the lubricity in the same process, but the sulfur is not the culprit of why you're losing lubricity. It's the process of removing it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep listening for Dr. Jane, and if you guys get a chance to talk to her without being on the air, if you could get an answer, I'll listen for the answer.
What I would recommend is running our Flashpoint fuel additive because it does have lubricity adders in it. It's a cetane booster, which will also help out on the older mechanical too. Because most of the fuel you're getting now is pretty crappy. I mean, it's maybe 40, 41 cetane level around here in Pennsylvania. I'm assuming it's going to be about the same out there. But if you mix it for 2 ounces every 15 gallons, you're going to bump your cetane level up 7 points, have a water emulsifier, and get the lubricity adders. So that's what I would recommend. I wouldn't recommend trying to reinvent the wheel by putting sulfur in there because honestly, you maybe end up doing damage to your truck and the injector specifically or the pump. So I would just recommend running the Flashpoint because we know it's a proven method.
Okay. All right. I've gotten emails about it, but I haven't researched it much.
Yeah, we just debuted it last 2 weeks ago, actually, now at Louisville, and it's been a very successful launch. Yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Hey, yeah. My good friend J.R. Hillhouse from down in Mississippi has his own 3,000 gallon above tank, and he started using it in his. He's got a single turbo Acert Pete, and he has a new Ford Power Stroke with the 10-speed. And when he walked in the booth, he was smiling. Now, he drove at Kevin's speed, 58 miles an hour from Mississippi to Louisville, 27 miles a gallon out of that 3/4-ton Ford pickup.
Wow.
Using both the catalyst and the flashpoint. I was stunned. And we have his Peterbilt, his 379. It's about 800 horsepower. And he noticed a difference with the flashpoint in it. And he has been running the catalyst for the last 6 years. So
nice.
I run the point and the catalyst in my 7.3 Power Stroke, but that's just because I have a bad injector and I'm too lazy to change it.
Well, there you go.
Buying me some.
There you go. Hey, let's go to Alabama. Jerry, it's your turn.
Good morning, fellas. Bruce, I just want to pass on a comment to Bruce about how informative he really is, and I'd have never known this had I not known Bruce. I am in the high-end motorhome capital of the world, I think, Red Bay, Alabama, where all the Tiffin motorhomes are made.
Oh, come on now.
Every building in Red...
Come on now.
Okay, well, yours isn't even made. Yeah, Country Coach isn't even being made anymore, and they're still making Tiffin. So,
well, that's
anyway,
true.
Every building in Red Bay is focused on fixing motorhomes.
Yes.
Every building. And I went by a building today. I just saw for the first time another building been put up, and I went by and a great big sign on the outside of that building, Bruce. Just for you, I would have never known this. Great big sign on the outside of that building said, Safety Plus Factory Direct. Now, isn't that what you talked about a lot of times?
Yeah, our steering stabilizer is Safety Plus.
Yep.
And
that's exactly what I saw on the outside that building. First time I've seen that particular building, I thought of you when I saw that. Wanted to tell you I'd have never known what the heck it was, even if I didn't know you, Bruce. So that just a comment.
Back in the mid-'80s is when T.L. Sexton invented that. And if you wanted to do great American truck racing, that's back when we were racing ovals with the semi-trucks. You had to have it on there because we would always lose the right front tire. And with the Safety Plus on there, you can have one hand on the steering wheel at 85 miles an hour. That's how we would test it. And you would just continue to drive around the track with a blown tire. That's how well the Safety Plus works.
Well, they must be promoting them for mobile home or motorhomes now because there's a whole building putting them on here in Red Bay. So that's all I had. I just a coincidence comment I wanted to pass on to Bruce. So that's it.
Well, the reason the motorhome industry really likes it is most motorhomes are heavy on the steer axle.
Definitely. And Bruce, I was excited about putting it on my Country Coach, except Country Coach has such a proprietary front axle that it just didn't work at all. Remember, we couldn't find any way to mount it.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I have talked to a lot of people that absolutely love them. And my Country Coach could use something because it like a lot of the big coaches, it wanders. It wanders quite a bit within the lane. You really have to stay on top of it. So I'm looking around to see if there's anything else similar to it that would work on mine. Let's go to Wyoming. Dan, welcome to the program.
Hi, Kevin. How you doing?
Doing good. What can we help you with today?
Oh, I wanted to say hi to Bruce as well. I hadn't seen him since the conference, but had a lot of things change in my business since then, and I was curious. Come across an older truck that has a power box, and I was wondering if it would, with the tunes that you guys have, are the power boxes just as good, or would it be better to take the power box off and get it tuned eventually?
No, leave the power box. Have our engineering department do a tune a mild tune, and then use the power box to supplement it. But you need to make sure the power box takes what the ECM gives it and multiplies it. So if the ECM is giving it bad information, then the power box is taking bad information, trying to make it good. So Dan, are you not in that 379, the orange one?
I am. I'm actually pulling the boots and stuff apart right now to try to check the turbo. I've been having issues with my pyrometer gauge fluctuating, and I don't know if it's. I've checked all my boots and tried to do a kind of a generic test myself by building my own deal and tapping the fittings and stuff to put in the ends of the tubes for the air-to-air, and I can't get it to the little caps to stay inside the tubes clamped down well enough to put a bunch of pressure on it, but I can get enough pressure on it that I can't hear anything leaking, and then it blows the boot out. So I don't think if there is a leak, it's not a big leak. But so anyways, I'm just trying to touch all the bases on and I've ordered another pyrometer gauge, but I'm going to stop in Idaho Falls and pick it up today and put it in and see if it quits fluctuating. But I thought I would check the fins on the turbo real quick, because it seems to build boost even when it's hot. So I don't think it's the turbo, but like
now, you've got that 12.7 turbo on that 15-liter cat, and that doesn't work.
Yeah, I know it, but I've been driving it for 2 or 3 months now, and this just started about 3 or 4 days ago with the boost. Okay. I mean, the pyrometer, it'll just bury it to 1500, and the light will come on, and
oh wow!
It freaked me out the first night. I stopped on the side of the road to check everything, and the boost tubes and everything, and then I noticed that the probe wires were kind of hanging against something, so I thought maybe they had rubbed a bare spot. And I moved those around and hung them up on something there to get them away from where they were rubbing, and there wasn't a bare spot, but it went back to working that night, and I thought, well, shoot, it's just the wires. So I stopped in Missoula and put a new probe in, and it seemed to fix. I thought I had fixed it for a little bit, but then it started doing it to me again. So I decided maybe my gauge was not reading the voltage coming to. I read on your website about gauges getting old and not reading the proper voltage and stuff like that. So I thought I might try putting a new gauge in. I'm checking everything else in the meantime.
Okay.
So anyway, right now I'm parked over here in Cokeville. I'm only about 50 miles from Bear Lake, so I'm just over here waiting on you.
Kevin, this is the guy that came to the snowmobile conference he was only coming for 1 day. He stayed for 3, and he was the very last person to leave.
Oh, there you go. Must have been having a good time.
Dan, did you see the article you wrote? It's in Moving Out right now.
I did. I talked to you last month, and I was real disappointed because I went through the website and looked for it, and it was some other program or some other article you had written, and I thought, well, crap, I just sent it in like a couple days ago. They probably didn't have time to get it in the March edition, so it just dawned on me last night that it was April 1st, or I was like, crap, I need to look that up and see if it went in April, and so I looked it up, and there it was.
It was at the Louisville show.
Oh, was it? It went in the April version of the of 10-4 magazine, and that's the place I was looking for it, and it was in the April, not the March, because I think I didn't
call me after the show. I have 5 of the magazines for you to send to you, but I need an address. So call me after the show with a mailing address.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate that. Well, shoot, I was just curious about the box, and like I said, a bunch of things have changed in the business, and I was going to be getting back in a 389 that we'd rebuilt the motor on, but a bunch of stuff has changed, and I'm kind of looking for a different truck now, and I come across that one with a power box, and I was just curious.
And what engine?
Rumors. It's a 2WS.
What engine is it? 2WS. And what's it in?
Yeah. It's in a 379 flat top. You know the truck. I just don't want to mention it online because I don't want somebody to steal it before I get it bought.
There you go. That's right.
It's a great truck.
Yeah.
It's a great truck.
So, all right, then I'll let you guys get back to business, and I'll talk to you later. I'll give you a call here in a little bit and see about, and talk to you. And if I don't get a hold of you, I can email that address to you as well.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Take
And
care.
hey, check out the town of Bear Lake because we need to get some more motels down there because the lodge at the top of the mountain, we have all 12 rooms taken already, and we need more additional rooms, and that's going to be down in the town. It's about 15-minute drive between the two places.
Got it. All right. Let's go to Colorado this time. Dwight, welcome to the program.
Hey, guys. Right after the first year, I had a truck motor blow up, and I wasn't going to build it. So I went and bought a high-mileage 2016 Volvo. Has the D13. It does have a 13-speed in it. Rear end's not so great, I don't think. 336 rear ends. So right off the bat, I started on the max mileage. Truck did set a little bit, and it did derate me one time. It was super cold up on the Continental Divide. Said I had poor depth quality and some stuff, so I did a regen. But at that point in time, I'd only had a couple weeks with the max mileage, and I have been running it ever since. And it's throwing a code, but it hasn't stopped me or done nothing. My SUT level stays down. So I'm trying to decide if I run this max mileage long enough, do you think I still need to do the diesel force clean? What would be my, because right now money's tight because when I had a lot of money in that other truck and it blew up. I don't know if y'all remember, I had just rebuilt the motor, just put a brand new transmission in, computer, everything, and it blew up.
Was that other truck a 12.7?
No, it was a ISX, and had that weird transmission that y'all had not heard of. It was Eaton's first attempt in electronics. Oh, the best thing would ever happen is if I hadn't have found that transmission, but I did. I just put it in. 2 weeks later, it blew up. So I'd had it with that truck. So I went out and bought this one. I got a good deal on it, I think. Not as good a deal as maybe what's going on now. But I bought this truck and a dry van in really good shape and this is a one-owner truck, owner-op. I paid $30,000 just to throw that out there to see what people are paying. I'm going to probably be selling the dry van, so that means I'm going to have $20,000 in this truck. It did have a little over $900,000. So my intentions were to go straight to you and get to get that diesel force, but then my dedicated run come back. So now I'm back on the road. So I've just been running max mileage. So do you think if I keep running this max mileage, I can get this motor cleaned up enough? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it'll clean it up, but there's a lot of sitting carbon in 900,000 miles. You may have to, in 90 or 120 days, you may have to get the DPF cleaned. Eric, what's your thoughts?
I would probably recommend it. I think it's going to be a little bit progressed right now with 900,000 miles. That's like you said, that's a lot of carbon and soot built up in there. The max mileage will eventually clean it out, but I think it's going to take you a long time. I think the diesel force would probably be a lot better to get like a jump start on it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well,
I would agree as well.
I'm saving up to get that. Like I say, this put me in a deep hole, because that last truck that blew up was my second truck in 2 years. So it's been so anyway, I'm gonna save up for that. Now this Volvo, it's got 3 filters, 3 oil filters, and one is the 1 micron. Now, what is your thoughts about that as far as the frequency of the oil changes, and or what about going ahead and putting an OPS on this also versus, is it even worth it to do the OPS now that I've got 3 oil filters and
so I'm going to answer this
your thought on
question
that.
specifically for you, because you've got some issues, you've got some cash flow issues. Now is not the time to spend $1,000 putting an OPS on. Not that there isn't a benefit, there would be. Not enough of a benefit right now when you're in a short-term cash flow issue. What is the recommended oil change interval on this truck?
25,000 is what.
What year is it?
What the owner? I actually have it's a 2016 D13.
So the owner's manual is telling you 25,000?
Well, actually, no. I don't know what the owner's
I would
manual
look it
says.
up.
I just
So
went by what they.
Let's start there.
Yeah, I'll check.
Let's start there because
owner
with
of
the.
shop.
Go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead. The owner of the shop said what?
Well, no, not the owner of the shop. The owner of the truck. It was a 1-owner truck, and he said he did it every 25.
That could be,
so
but I think
just,
it's way early if it's got that 1 micron filter on it. Look in the owner's manual or get the VIN and call the dealer. Then it could be 60 or 70,000 miles recommended from the OEM. And he's been changing it way early, which might sound good, but all you're doing is throwing away good oil and wasting a lot of money. It just doesn't make sense to overdo oil changes. Now, let's say it's 60,000. I'm just going to pull a number. At 50, I would pull an oil sample. And that gives us plenty of time to get the results back and then change it based on condition, just like we would with an OPS. We don't put a number. Once we put a bypass filter on a truck, we don't put a number. We just based it on oil samples because we have time to do them. And this is no different. You've got a bypass filter on there. It's not as good as an OPS, but it's already on there. It's not costing you anything. And do your oil changes based on condition. Sample when you're within 5 or 10,000 miles of your oil change interval and do it based on condition.
Yeah. Well, and thank goodness he hadn't changed the oil, so I will be getting a
good
sample to y'all here pretty, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks.
Good. Yeah.
So we'll have some idea. The truck's not burning any oil. It's running good, not burning, and
that's a good sign.
Pulling pretty good.
Yep.
And okay, a last quick thing. What is y'all's, and I know they were at Louisville, although y'all were busy, but what is your opinion on that, like that scan tool, that OTR, so that I can read these codes a little better and try to see what the motor's doing? You got an opinion on that? Are you familiar with that OTR scanner that reads these codes?
I personally recommend it to a lot of people. I haven't used one in a while, but the last time I used it, it seemed pretty user-friendly, not too difficult. They have a nice interface. It gives you the codes which you need to know. Other than that, yeah, it's a good code reader.
Yeah. Well, and I've done a lot of research, and besides learning about these codes, because this is my first emission truck in my whole career. Just that's it. So this is total woof. But a lot of people said, hey, you get out on the road, and if this thing shuts you down to 5 miles per hour, instead of paying a couple thousand plus for a tow bill and like somebody like y'all to have to turn this thing off, it's worth it to be able to turn that, reset that, do a regen, and get down the road and get back to a shop. So,
yeah, of course.
Anyway, so I think I'm gonna get one, and it's just another tool to keep this thing going on the road. So
that's it.
All righty. Well, I'll make plans and to get this diesel force. Now, does that diesel force, does it clean out that filter? Does it go all the way through that system?
Yes. Yeah. The way the diesel force cleaning works is it pumps a soapy solvent foam through the intake, and that cleans out all the carbon and soot out of the engine. After it goes through the engine, it's going to go through the variable vanes of the turbo. They're usually carboned up, and it goes into your after treatment system, your DOC and your DPF, and it lays dormant down there until we back the truck outside and do a manual regen. And then during the regeneration cycle, the heat created from the regen is going to reignite that foam and then steam clean your DPF, your DOC, everything in the after treatment system.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll do that. All right, guys. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. We've got a bunch more, so let's get back to them. Let's head this time to Texas. Harold, welcome to the program.
Gentlemen, it was good to see all you guys there at the show. Kevin, the first time I met you, so that was good.
Yeah, for
sure. A quick comment on the on the new product that you've got for the fuel treatment. For some reason, this thing seems to run much freer and easier. And I've been using Hot Shot Secret along with the catalyst, so I switched over to yours as soon as I bought it, and so far it seems really good. But that's all I had. The guy that had the pyrometer problem, we had 07 Caterpillars, and the wire that went from the lead off of the pyrometer over to the wiring loom went bad, and we had to replace that little section, and then it started working just fine. So we didn't ever replace the gauge. Just wanted to mention that.
Okay. So you're happy with the Flashpoint?
I like it so far, Bruce. It feels up toward when you're climbing a hill or something like that. It just seems way smoother and much more responsive. And I don't know if it's my imagination or not, but it just feels different right now. And I've got 571,000 miles on this, so got a pretty good feel of how it always has felt from the beginning, and it seems to have changed a little bit.
And guys, people need to know you have the open car hauler, so.
Correct, yes. Yeah.
Also, Kevin, you say in our industry you need to build up, what's the term you use instead of friendships with people?
Relationships?
Relationships.
Yeah. Relationships. Well, the chemist who formulated this for us, I've known for over 40 years. And
wow.
Used some of his products in the past, and then we had him mix this up to go in conjunction with the max mileage, and so far everything's great.
Excellent. Excellent.
It feels good. I'll see. I started it right at the beginning of this month, so I'll see what this quarter brings on fuel mileage results.
Okay.
But thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Everything. Good to see all you guys there at Pittsburgh Power booth, and finally meet the voice I've been listening to for all these years, Kevin. Thank you.
There you go. You're welcome. Good talking to you. All right.
And Kevin, you never made it to our booth, did you?
I
Yeah.
think I got
I think
there
you were on the phone.
one time late on Wednesday, I think. No, Wednesday's show hadn't even started yet.
Wednesday.
Well, hold on. No, it
Yeah.
must have been Thursday. Right after the CMC ended, I think I went straight to your booth. You were either on the phone or swamped, and then I never made it back again.
Never made it back.
I had
You
I
ignored
had
us.
interviews. I did the live radio show Friday, and then when I finished the radio show on Friday, I wanted to head back. In fact, I told somebody I would meet them over there at your booth, and I didn't get 30 feet away from where I was broadcasting for the next several hours till the show ended. So it was just one of those shows.
We're not going to get treated like a stepchild, are we?
No, of course not. Plus, you guys wouldn't even notice if I was there or not. You guys are so busy.
I saw you. You had your
We'll see.
backpack on, and you were on your cell phone.
See there, I was. I made an appearance. I just I wasn't there long. Maybe we, if we're going to keep doing the CMC, and we're already talking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all day now, prior to Matt's. Thursday having a like a breakfast kind of get together and party, and then going straight in. Maybe I got to figure out. Maybe Bruce, you guys should build me a little broadcast table, and I'll do my show live from your booth.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Then I'd be hanging out there.
We can make that happen.
Yeah, that'd be really fun, because
Yeah,
then you
Jordan,
guys could jump in too.
All right. Remember you said that because Leroy's going to start on that project.
Got it. All right.
Jordan's going to start a project. I have my own project.
Oh,
there we go.
Jordan. Okay, that'll be a Jordan project. Okay.
All right. Let's get.
Did you
to,
see our new
go ahead.
display, Kevin?
No, I wasn't paying attention, I guess.
Okay.
I was there, but I didn't notice anything different. But I was trying to look for somebody like you to talk to, and everybody was busy, and I don't even remember why I left. Because I was my plan was I was just going to hang out there for a while, but for some reason I had to leave and go somewhere else, but I don't remember why. Next year will be easier. This doing the CMC there for the first time was just a lot of extra work and a lot of distraction. Now we've done it once, and we have much more time to plan for next year. We'll plus next year, if I have 3 full days of the CMC, I want you guys more involved in it too.
Well, we'd like to be. Hey, back to that south wing only being half used. Why didn't they just shut down the west wing that we're in and put all of us in the south wing?
They should, because the low ceilings over there in the west wing, and it's more crowded, and you guys are right there at that choke point where everybody moves in and out to the other hall and the arena, and so yeah, it would be nice if they would use that big wide open space on the south hall instead. That's a good idea. I'll talk to Toby about that.
Right. And one other thing about the show. Did you taste the bourbon ice cream?
I did not. I wish I would have, though. Where was that?
Oh, my God, was it good. It's right in the hallway there by the auditorium.
Oh, by where all
the
nuts are? The cinnamon nuts?
That's correct.
Yeah, I missed that.
Right?
Yeah, I would have loved to have tried that.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Next year.
Okay.
All right. Let's get back to some calls. Let's go to Texas. Paul, welcome.
Howdy.
Hey,
Howdy.
Did you hear Tony earlier?
Oh, yeah, he's a windbag.
Yeah,
That's a bad impersonation.
It was really bad, and he didn't understand the difference between Australia and New Zealand, I don't think.
A kiwi can be a person, a bird, or a fruit.
Yeah.
I'm not a fruit.
Person, a bird, or fruit. That's
and
right.
I have been known to flick people the birds. So, you were talking about fuel quality and weighing it and everything. So it's relative to temperature. Do you get more bang for your buck when the fuel is cold or when the fuel is hot?
So there was a year
when it's cold.
This goes way, way back, right? Bruce would be correct. You would get more fuel when it's cold because it's more dense. So a gallon at a lower temperature will actually have more volume than a gallon at a higher temperature because the fuel itself is more dense. There was a year where OIDA was really pushing hard
they have a big part in that.
to make sure that the pumps are temperature compensated. And I still don't know today whether they are or not.
Probably not.
Well, you remember years ago there was that one company that was delivering hot fuel
right
to their
on purpose.
And then that yeah, on purpose.
Yeah.
Also, when diesel fuel gets over 170 degrees, it really loses performance.
Ooh, that's pretty hot.
So those that have that handgun, the temperature sensing gun, shoot inside the fuel and see if it's over. If you're having a power issue, take the fuel cap off, shoot the fuel, and see what the temperature is.
Yeah, we, for
years
performance.
Ago on
Go ahead, Bruce.
On a big can, whenever we didn't have hot fuel, a guy by the name of Ron Palmer put on a fuel cooler, like it's automatic transmission cooler on the return line. And he said he actually gained performance and fuel mileage.
I could believe it. If you could cool it without using a lot of energy and just allowing airflow to do it would work. I could see that. A diesel engine, what we really want is cold, dense fuel and cold, dense air.
That's right.
Yeah, interesting.
But you want hot air for less aerodynamic drag.
Well, there you go. See, we want everything.
Yeah, sometimes you can't get everything. So.
That's right.
So I joined a Cummins Facebook group the other day. Well, a post just popped up before, and it's okay. We've posted here a couple of times, but still have a truck that runs like shit, except when programmed back to stock. Well, it goes on, been to 2 different shops, 3 different mechanics, 2 different tuners, but then it gets down to the good stuff. X15 575 deleted with all parts removed. So I was going to respond. That was your biggest mistake, was removing all the parts, because now they don't really know what they got. And it's a little problem child. They've been fighting with it forever, and it says, truck runs like shit, what can we do?
Yeah. You were absolutely correct. That's the biggest mistake. You don't know who's setting the ECM, what parameters are doing. There's over 17,000 parameters in that ECM. And we get those phone calls, and we tell people, well, we hope you saved the parts. Let's put them back on and get back to what we know you have, and then go from there, because we have nobody that's unhappy with how their X15 or their ISX runs after we work on it.
Well, I'm pretty happy with my truck. It's reliable, knock on wood. And
that's right.
There was a time if this truck had caught fire, I would have thrown gasoline on it. But now I went and bought a bigger fire extinguisher just in case it does catch fire, because I need to get it put out.
There you go.
Yeah. So, right, I'll let you get to the next guy.
All right. We will do that. Let's head off this time to Washington. Brent, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Okay, so I have, I want to put I ordered a pyrometer, but I need like step-by-step instructions on how to put it in. I've never drilled and tapped a hole, and I'm kind of curious how I'm actually going to get the actual power to it. Like, I've never ran a cord through the firewall or any of that. So if you could walk me through that, I would appreciate that.
All right, I'm going to make it short and easy. 7/6. You got a pencil?
Piece of paper?
I'm driving, but I'll use my hands. 7/16. Got it.
7/16 drill bit.
Okay.
1/4-inch pipe tap. You can get both at a hardware store. Drill and tap your manifold in front of number 4 cylinder. Now, what engine do you have?
ISX CM2350.
All right. Well, you can't do that now because of the variable geometry turbo. You have to remove the turbo. So you're going to have to put it in the exhaust pipe.
Where at?
And within 3 inches of the backside of the turbo.
Okay.
You may have to have somebody weld a piece of steel on there so you have enough threads to drill into and tap.
Gracious.
It's getting complicated. Hey, Bruce, do you guys have a video on this?
That's not hard. And I don't know if we have a video on it or not. We should. There's no electricity, no 12 volts that goes to the pyrometer. It's strictly a gauge that measures temperature, and it does it on its own. And you have to run the wires through the firewall, and that's not that hard to find a hole. The dashboard, your dash is all electronic, so we have a VDO cup that goes on top of the dash, and that's the best place to put it. And there's a male and a female plug on the wire that go onto the back of the pyrometer.
Okay, that sounds simple enough, except for the welding part. You got me there. But is the cup you said that holds the thing? Do I have to order that separate, or is that coming with the gauge?
No, the VDO cup you have to order separate.
Okay, so I'll go back on the website and order it. Hey, Bruce, I was using my lawnmower, and I think for the first time, and I put some bad gas in it. It was just old from a couple years ago camping trip, and it was running like really bad, like vroom, 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 and I was losing power, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to drain this gas. So I went over to my truck, got the catalyst out, dumped some in, and I shit you not, within like a minute, I had full power back, and my lawnmower worked great.
Kind of amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is amazing.
I have a guy that his son bought a half a gallon. They do crabbing in the Chesapeake Bay, but they're also in the septic business, and they have a fleet of trucks. And unfortunately, here's a sad story. 2 or 3 weeks ago, one of the 18-volt batteries to run power tools exploded during the night and burnt their building down.
Ooh.
Oh,
so
wow.
he said, do not let your 12-volt, according to the fire chief, he said, we see this a lot. Do not let those 18-volt batteries be on charge overnight and being away from them.
Oh.
Wow.
So he lost 7 trucks in the building.
Wow.
Fortunately, we have one of his trucks at our shop. But he had started up an old Honda generator, and it wasn't running good. And his son came over with the catalyst, and he said, don't put that shit in there. And the son put it in anyway. He called me and said, Bruce, I got to tell you, within a minute or two, that generator's running fine. So,
yeah, I mean, I hear these stories, and I didn't believe half of them. I mean, I use the catalyst in the truck, but I hear you guys talk about chainsaws and snowmobiles, and I just think it's just truckers talking, but I swear to God.
No, wait. Hold on a second. We're not sitting in a truck stop now. Okay?
I understand that, but you guys...
I've heard those stories, too, when I used to eat in truck stops. And I thought, where did that guy ever come up with that? This is totally different. This is a no BS show. All right?
The joke is I've got a flat tire, put some catalyst in it.
Yeah.
Well, I never said that. So
I know. So So, can we get an update on the garbage trucks in Tacoma, Washington? That you said you were going to put the catalyst in it, and that was a couple months ago. But I don't think I've heard an update. Did it work for the fleet of garbage trucks?
Yeah, there are 6 trucks. They're still in test. They hired this really expensive company that is checking soot levels, and they send me the charts. I can't even figure out how to read these things. And I said, look, are your regens down, and are your emission problems gone away? And the answer is yes. And that's where we are right now.
There you go.
The testing's still going on, by the way. So when you're dealing with people that have thousands of vehicles, it's a tough ordeal.
Yes, it is, Bruce. That's why I got away from trying to help fleets with fuel economy a long time ago. This, though, this should be easier than fuel economy because you, like you said, you have a specific goal here. Get the regens down, get the downtime down, and that's pretty easy to measure. But it gets much more complicated when we start dealing with fleets. And then, Bruce, what can really make you crazy is you just about get done with this test and somebody gets changed, they get a promotion, they get moved to a different position, and the whole thing just falls apart. I've seen that happen where it just gets dropped because something changes in the company. So, all right, we've got to get to some calls. We got to
exactly
keep up with these here. Let's go to
Kevin. Hold on.
Sure.
Plus, the people you're dealing with in the shop level aren't the people that are in a distant city in the home office.
Good point.
And they look at strictly numbers. Why are we spending money for this?
Yep.
And it's brutal dealing with large companies.
It is. And then there's the other thing, that nobody has any real ownership of this. Nobody sees a direct benefit. The shop, they might say, well, we'd have less work to do, but that's what they want to do. Shops want to do work. That's how they make money. So there's so many people involved that it's not like dealing with an owner-operator where you're dealing with the person that makes the decisions, tracks the results. It's a whole different animal. I had to give up on it. I mean, I just couldn't do it. It was too frustrating. So,
in
TJ.
1976, I was with Loftus Engineering. I was their traffic manager, and I was spending a lot of time in Eagle Pass, Texas, and Laredo, and places like that. We built plate mill and strip mill slab furnaces and soaking pits, and a lot of them were in Mexico. But I went to my immediate boss. Her name was Ruth Gertner. She's probably no longer here, but and I said, why are we doing things this way? And she said, Bruce, we've been doing them this way for 25 years, and we're not going to change them because of you.
Don't you hate that statement?
And
this is how we've always done
it. And I said, why did you hire me with all my experience in traffic and transportation?
Yeah.
And she just looked at me.
Yeah.
And I knew within a few months I was getting into the diesel engine business, so I just brushed it off. But whenever I would hear a statement like that, it was terrible because you have a better idea, but nobody will listen.
Yep.
And I was 26 years old, right?
Right.
Who's going to listen to a 26-year-old whenever they're 55?
You know what, though? You should, if you're in a position to make those kind of decisions at a company, you should have the intelligence and the knowledge to know whether somebody knows what they're talking about, regardless of their age. You should just be able to listen to them and question them and say, well, this makes sense. Who cares what somebody's age is?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. All right.
I was on with a 23-year-old. I was on with a 23-year-old yesterday with a 379 with a cat, and he was a really sharp young man. And I said, where did you gain all your knowledge on trucks? Well, his grandfather trucked, his dad trucked, so there it is.
That's right.
And
that's right.
I said, I bet when you were in high school, you couldn't wait till you got out of high school so you could be in a truck. And he said, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
hey, Bruce, this next caller we're going to bring in here, the three of us should really do a show on coaches. you've got a ton of experience and background in the RV world. TJ's on with us now, and TJ's going to talk about his coach. And when him and I get talking about coaches, sometimes I think all the truck people leave. We should probably do our own show. TJ, good morning.
Hey, good morning. What's happening?
So are you out on the coach? You were supposed to rescue me in Louisville and take me home in comfort.
Honestly, I wanted to, but it would have been a hell of a backtrack. I was already, when I heard the news you're stuck in Louisville, I was already back down in Alabama, and I figured he'll have to figure it out on his own.
That's a long way. I did splurge.
Yeah, you guys.
I actually didn't get on Southwest to fly back because I get credit for all my tickets anyway. I splurged and bought a first-class ticket just to be comfortable. I haven't done that in a long time.
Wow, what airline?
United. It was a good experience, too. I was posting nonstop the whole time, so I actually got work done.
Right on. Yeah, I'm just, this is a Starlink call right now, so hopefully I'm coming in loud and clear. How's it sound?
Nice. It sounds great.
Okay, cool, because it's Starlink call in the area in Kingman, Arizona. I'm basically running the gauntlet over here. There's about, I don't know, 6 unmarked cop cars pulling everybody over.
Nice.
So if anyone's in Kingman, Arizona, watch out.
You going to spend the night in Quartzsite? I can't go through there without spending a night out in the desert.
Well, Quartzsite's on 10, and we just stayed in Kingman, so we're up on 40.
Just drop down at Flagstaff, because then you can
so these kids are
spend
worn
a day in Sedona. And
what's that?
I said, we'll just drop down 17 in Flagstaff, hit Sedona for a day. That's always fun. And then head on down to 10 and hit Quartzsite. I mean, that's a tradition.
Yeah. Well, that was the plan. But it was snowing up in Flagstaff, and I didn't want to. I just wanted to get down the hill. So
got it. All right.
I coerced her into allowing us to skip Sedona.
Got it.
But anyways, they're worn out, man. I've just put them through the ringer
I'll
out
bet.
to Kentucky and back.
I'll bet.
As fast as I go. So yeah, they're excited to get back home.
Yeah.
But
so what's going on with the
catalyst? I got that same sickness. Whatever you had, I don't know if it's the same thing, but a lot of people got sick at Matt's.
It was bad.
Who knows?
Yeah, it was bad.
But none of us were as bad as you though. So I don't know if you got something different than the rest of us.
It hit me about
but anyway,
3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. I didn't get on a plane till Tuesday. Tuesday I felt good. The day I was flying, Wednesday at home, I felt almost as bad as I did, and I'm still not completely over this garbage.
Well, I'll tell you what I felt it at Matt's, but I carry Metagenics Ultra Potent Vitamin C 500, and every 2 hours to 3 hours I was taking 500 milligrams of vitamin C, and it knocked it right out. And I've been doing that for 48 years. So
I took high-dose vitamin C. I did all kinds of crazy things. Nothing was helping this time.
Yeah, you guys were talking earlier about Kevin showing up to Bruce's booth. So I stood around Kevin's booth waiting to talk to him and failed. I stood around Bruce's booth waiting to talk to him for multiple times and failed. But you guys you're talking to people for so long, and so many people are lined up to speak to you. Like you can't even get in there.
You gotta.
I couldn't even get in there to say a word to either one of you.
Pull out your wallet, flash your credentials, and get aggressive. Get up to the front of the line there.
I just didn't feel like interrupting. Because you guys are. Kings in the industry, so everybody's wanting to talk to you. I didn't really want to get in there and open up a motor coach conversation, but
we take Venmo.
Here we are.
PayPal.
That's right. Here we are.
But that truck that Bruce has on display, this is my first truck show ever, so I was impressed with the whole thing.
Nice.
But yeah, I came across Bruce's truck. That thing's something else that you got on display there.
No, that's not ours. That's Mario's truck.
Oh,
he was in the Fats booth. Yeah, that's not ours.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
not
got it.
going-
You're right beside him then.
Right.
Yeah, that's
we
fast
don't
is
do-
something else too. Because I saw Fast
Mhm.
at a CMC in 2013, and they were just getting going. And I met the owner, I think, but I didn't
Brad.
see that same guy around the Fast booth at all. I just saw
Right.
other people.
He was
I can't
he
even
was
remember
there
his
on
name.
Saturday. Brad Exton. Brad is the
that's
ex-middleweight boxing champion of Missouri. And for some strange reason, at 59 years old, he's going back in the ring.
Is he really?
Oh, my
Isn't he
goodness.
doing
He's going to be
just boxing?
He's going
or
to be fighting
mixed
He's going to
martial
be
arts?
fighting a 52 or 53-year-old.
Doesn't he do a lot of mixed martial arts too? I think it's more
I
than
don't-
I think it's more than just
I
boxing.
don't know if Brad
And
does martial arts or not.
I think
he does mixed martial arts.
That's what I thought. He does.
Was he there? Was he at Matt's? I didn't see him.
Should have been.
He was there on Saturday.
Yeah, okay.
Saturday only.
Yeah, and they had some coaches there too. Like they were staying there. The whole team had coaches there. They had a pretty big crew there.
Yeah, Brad's an awesome guy, really intelligent. I just think he's taken a few too many punches to the head. He gets a little weird sometimes.
Yeah, Bruce. So,
Well,
so Bruce, you and my dad go way back. You built an 800 horsepower Kenworth W9 back in the 80s for my father. You probably wouldn't remember it.
TJ,
but,
you never told me that
but yeah,
story.
that's where.
Where did your
Yeah,
father
I don't-
live?
He's Wyoming. He's Wyoming, and he would run the country heavy hauling and flatbed, and used to pull flatbed.
Do you want
in pubs
to
and then-
say his name?
Tom O'Done. Yeah, Tom O'Done. From the 80s, he built a you built a massive engine for him back then.
Nice.
I don't know all the details, but yeah, that was the first. But yeah, he knows you from way back, and of course, he's been trucking ever since. So he's a 40, 50 years.
Hey, Bruce.
I don't even know.
Bruce. First off, tell
Somebody walked by.
Tell Bentley we said hi. Ask TJ how many trucks he runs.
I don't even know anymore.
That's
downsizing.
because you spend all your time in your coach. If I had to guess, somewhere between 60 and 80 trucks now, right?
Yeah, well, we're running 55 of them daily.
Got it.
So then we probably got 10. I got 10 on the auction block, and I got Ritchie Brothers, Iron Planet. There's 6 there, and then probably about 12 more that are just offline.
So Bruce,
and I hate to see him. I hate to see him offline, but there's just no. I don't know if you guys heard. It's hard to find quality drivers.
That is an issue. Hey, Bruce, he's got a very cool operation. He is not just a trucking company; he's a wine and spirits distributor. So he's got a couple terminals, couple drop yards. Hard to keep track of everything he's got going on, but it's just a very cool operation he's got.
Yeah, lots of overhead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, but that's why I just came back from our Dallas location. So we have a warehouse in Dallas, and that's our main asset-based company there. That's where all of our trucks are based. Is in Carrollton, Texas, and I just left that, went to Louisville, went to Alabama, went to Dallas, Texas, and then now we're back to California, just about to cross the state line.
Nice.
But yeah, this
Did you
motor
know
coach. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Caterpillar moved their headquarters out of Peoria and put them in Dallas.
Really, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Are they ever going to do an
Caterpillar's
on-road
no
engine
longer-
again?
I don't know, but they're not based in Peoria anymore.
I'm sure it's politics and taxes.
Texas.
You want me to
Yeah,
tell you
Texas.
why? You want me to tell you why?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Illinois or Texas? Yeah, tell us
Good
why.
friend of mine.
I can't imagine.
Good friend of mine. He's one floor below me in this condo that I'm in Florida. He mechanical engineer, oversaw the building of a lot of their plants. The last one he did was 1 million square feet, and it builds axles for the earth moving equipment. Some of them weigh 100,000 pounds, the axle. And whenever the word gets out that a large company is going to expand, a lot of governors come to see them and give them tax incentives. And when he called the governor of Illinois, he said, look, we're going to build 1 million square feet. We'd like to build it here in Peoria. Everybody else is offering us tax incentives. What can you do for us? And the governor said, what else do you want to talk about, Mike? Mike said, I want to talk about this building. This is what we're going to do. What else do you want to talk about? No tax incentives for Illinois.
Of course.
So went to South Carolina. And now corporate headquarters are in Texas, in Dallas.
There you go.
And slowly but surely, everything's leaving Peoria.
That'll happen.
Yeah, that's really going to hurt the local economy, I'm guessing.
Now, here's what I want you to think about. When Cummins did everything in the Columbus area, it was either 14 or 16,000 employees at Cummins, but the neighboring foundries and machine shops were 75,000 employees that made parts for Cummins.
Wow.
That's how big things are. People don't realize that. You think it's just the company. No, it's the surrounding community that supplies the company.
Restaurants.
How many of these foundries and machine shops do you think were in the greater Peoria, Illinois, that supplied Caterpillar?
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't realize it's restaurants, it's doctors, it's dentists, it's just every other business in the community gets affected by this. And Bruce, you and I,
hardware.
We live in an area that was decimated. I mean, when all the steel was produced in the U.S., it was Pittsburgh, Youngstown, Cleveland, right where we grew up, and that place doesn't look the same anymore. Hasn't for decades.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, you'll see me ranting and raving against bureaucratic policies and bureaucrats in general on social media. Well, that's basically these people. Their incentives are so far off the mark when it comes to business.
Yeah.
You know, that guy was probably what he was asking for was a manila envelope full of cash. That's what he was really asking for.
Yeah.
You know, and they're just disgusting with the amount of knowledge that they have in regards to what a business of that size brings to the community. Like it's just so short-sighted. They don't have any big vision. Like, when's the last time you had a good politician with a big vision? Like none of them have vision.
Reagan,
whatsoever.
maybe.
Hey, did you see the other day on social media what Ocasio-Cortez is worth, if it's true?
Probably 20.
I'd rather not hear it.
Like
26 million?
That's insane.
26 million? She was stone broke 4 years ago when they put her in office in New York City.
You know, she won what do you call it when an actor, like goes up for a movie? That's what that was. Is a casting call. She won the casting call.
Yeah, she did.
I don't even know if that's true or not, but that's floating around there. Like, they just had a casting call when they needed a politician. And
you know what it's like?
Because of her looks and her,
It's actually
whatever.
not even as good as a casting call. You know what the better analogy was the producer. I forget what you call the guy, promoter, producer, the guy that created all the boy bands. That's not even a casting call.
Oh, yeah.
They just took a bunch of boys and through marketing, they made it insane. They made them, multimillionaires. None of them had any real talent. He just recreated that same model over and over and over, and it was all marketing.
Yeah. You've seen the P Diddy news, right? So Puff Daddy, he's a billionaire. With a B, billionaire, and he's one of the worst artists ever. I know you guys wouldn't know that, but
of course
people I'm young enough to know this guy sucks. He's terrible. So how did he become a billionaire? He's a damn FBI asset. They're trying to whatever they're doing with the Epstein thing.
It's
that's
just
bad. That's what it looks like.
Sounds like
but
it.
maybe I'm getting a little too deep into the conspiracy there.
We all are, because
wild.
We'll go off. Hey, do you have some sort of a catalyst story on your coach? I'm interested to hear.
Yeah, so Well, so the coach has got an ISX 650 in it. It's 2011, so I guess that would mean it's 2010 thing. It may or may not be deleted. I bought it. I didn't even know it was. So we cleaned up the exhaust on it, and they had punched a hole into the thing, and so what we did was just put a regular high flow muffler on it and straightened out the plumbing there. And I didn't want to go back to, the other way since it was already half done, and I didn't really have the computer to go back, and I didn't want to buy all that. So I just said, I'll throw a muffler on it for now, and if I ever sell it, I'll have to convert it back, I guess. But my question is, I'm running the catalyst in it because I'm assuming the catalyst, I'm not doing it for fuel mileage. I'm really doing it just to clean up all that EGR stuff. So as I run the catalyst, what should I look for in my oil sample as far as a success with the catalyst, as far as cleaning my engine? Will I see soot levels go down, Bruce?
You should, but
yes,
it's easier to just pull the exhaust pipe off and look inside the exhaust pipe.
You should notice
okay,
a drop in soot level. I've seen it quite often on oil samples when somebody starts using the catalyst.
Okay, so being on the coach, this thing's putting diesel fuel into my the AquaHot system and the generator, and so the generator and the AquaHot, the AquaHot was dripping fuel onto one of the burners, and it was putting out this awful white smoke for a while. And we cleaned it up, and we think it's stopped. Now the generator we rebuilt because it blew the generator up. The motor blew up for whatever reason. Remember, Kevin, this coach is it's a Newell coach,
right.
Bruce. But it's probably it's a lemon in the fact that the last owner was terrible to it. It is hacked into wiring. They treated it. They mistreated this coach like you never could imagine. Okay, so. So all of these problems are from just abuse. And so anyways, I have my own shop, so I'm going through, I'm cleaning up all these problems. So it's got a brand new generator motor. It had that AquaHot situation. Now those both exhaust into the left tailpipe. And then the motor, the diesel engine, the big diesel ISX, exhausts into the other tailpipe.
Okay.
Right? So you can kind of see the different exhaust smoke.
Right.
So the catalyst shouldn't do any harm to the AquaHot. I'm assuming it won't hurt it at all. I'm assuming it's going to clean up the generator smoke because the generator is still smoking from the rebuild.
Yep.
But it might be because it blew oil down the exhaust pipe for the length of the coach, right? 40-something foot of exhaust. So I'm just waiting. It's still the generator is still putting out a little bit of white smoke, and I think it's just burning off what was left after the engine blew up and put it all down the tailpipe, oil down the tailpipe.
So I will.
So what are your thoughts on that as far as any of that?
I will tell you on the AquaHot.
You go ahead.
Yeah, on the AquaHot, I had my system rebuilt twice because my AquaHot would never operate properly. And then you know how you use the coach. You get something worked on, but you don't actually go use the coach for 6 months. And then it's not right, and I take it back and say, what did you guys do? Whatever you didn't replace it. And it still wasn't right. And then I started using the catalyst, and all of my AquaHot problems went away completely. At first it didn't dawn on me. I was actually at David Counts' place telling him, and he said, did you start using the catalyst? And I said, yeah. And he said, best thing you could ever do for the AquaHot system. I missed one tank. I didn't put the catalyst in one tank, and my AquaHot started acting up again. And then I put it in the next tank, and it worked. It's that fast to change the way that AquaHot works. I don't notice a big difference on my generator, a little less smoke. I actually have separate exhaust for all three. I think the idea of running that exhaust 40 feet is kind of crazy. I think if that were my coach, I think I'd put individual exhaust on those two things.
So they're individual. They just match up at the tip of the thing, and they never match up. They only match. It's two small pipes, like 2.5-inch pipe or something. Each of them has like a 2.5-inch exhaust pipe that go into the tip, which is like an oval shaped.
Got it. It
So,
sounds like a lot
so
of
they're not they don't
back
merge
pressure.
together, but I can't look at the tip. I can't look at the tip and see if it's
Right.
the aqua hot or the generator causing this. So
Yeah.
I might have to take the tip off, and then I'd be able to see it.
Yeah, but I will
But
tell
that's
you that
good news because
nothing.
my diesel-fired aqua hot is running perfectly.
That
for this
that
whole
catalyst
trip, so.
is the best thing you can do for that. And David Counts said they tell everybody when they come in down there, if you've got an aqua hot, run the catalyst.
Yeah, so I don't know any other way to test whether there's still oil in the exhaust pipe, and when it gets hot, that it's going to smoke a little bit more, and it's not really coming from the generator.
May not be.
You know, I don't know about that. But.
I would give it time. But before you hang up, I want to know, did your dad enjoy that 800 horsepower big cam?
Oh yeah. No, this one we used to do the whole 90-mile, 100. It was a 100-mile-per-hour truck plus.
Yeah.
You remember, Bruce, the days, right?
The days. That's right.
Yeah, that's where I grew. That's the truck I grew up on.
Nice.
So.
Nice. All right, TJ, good stuff.
Okay.
We could do this all day. I got to cut you loose because the calls are piling up on us, and we don't have much time left. Let's go to Illinois. Steve Crone, welcome. What's on your mind today?
Hello there.
Hey there.
Well, I'm gonna put some catalyst in my Honda generator. It was backfiring last night. I couldn't get it going. I thought the cops were gonna come out. It sounded like gunshots. I'll have to try that. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But the reason I called, at the show, towards the end of the show, I was talking to Bruce there, and we never did kind of finish the conversation. I had quite a long talk with Leroy and got him together with this guy from a battery company, and they're kind of interested in breathing life into a hybrid axle situation. And we were talking, and you just asked a question about whatever happened to Helion, and then we got distracted by I had a Brand X fuel additive, and we got off into a different direction. But anyways, Helion, of course, being originally out of Pittsburgh, and they took John out to dinner one night, and they were going to make an axle for owner-operators, and they were looking to have Pittsburgh Power be the installers. And of course, I was going to be the first guinea pig, and then Warren Buffett threw a bunch of money at him, moved him down to Texas, and screwed the whole thing up.
Yeah, they did.
And now we're headlong into making entirely 100% electric trucks, which is just insane. But I would like to breathe life into that. I don't know where we can find an axle that's not a. I'm looking at maybe 100 horsepower or something like that. And so, anyways, the battery guys and Leroy being a crack engineer he is there, I think we could do it. Take off my peg axle and
you would think
make a 15 or 16 mile per gallon truck. So
you would think
why
that
don't
this
we
would be
get
doing.
why not get where Helion left off? Get with some of their people. They're in Austin, Texas, and see if we can't get some of their old parts.
Well,
that'd be a great
I
start.
don't know how far they were into it, because it was like I talked to John, and next week they were moving to Texas.
It seemed to me like they
sometimes too much money ruins things,
Yeah, it seemed to me like they had working axles. I mean, I don't know why, and
they did.
From what I understand, they went.
They were running. They were running around Western Pennsylvania with these axles.
That's what I thought.
They were working.
And from what I understand,
they
shifted.
had the whole truck set up, but it was way too grandiose. It was like 350 horsepower, and the batteries get so hot they had to have air conditioning, cooling it, and geez, take a breath, make it small.
Well, and then I think they got out of the mobile market completely, and they're doing stationary stuff, generators or something. I don't know, but you would think you might be able to get the axles at least one to play with. It'd be worth trying.
Yeah. Well, if I call up, they're just going to say, "Oh, you're that guy that does all that crazy aerodynamics. You're just nuts." Perhaps if Bruce made some calls,
needs to make that call.
Well, I have a son-in-law in Austin.
Okay.
And I will call him and ask him if he knew anyone.
Well, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody remember how Helion was spelled?
Hylion, Hylion. Hylion.
I think there's two I's. Actually.
There might be two I's, but it's HY. So you let me look it up real quick.
Lion.
Hylion Holdings. Yeah, it is two I's. Hylion.
I'll do that for you, Steve.
That would be great. I mean, and I think we'd be doing a hell of a service to the entire industry because the government keeps trying to jam this stuff down that really doesn't make sense. And
imagine that.
Particularly on a truck like mine, tag axle comes off, you put the other one on, and it's just wiring and programming, and
Yeah, seems
like
the
for the battery somewhere.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be as big a batteries as what they had because you're not looking at that kind of horsepower, and you're not going to be using it all the time.
And it's
not
regenerative.
Get that hot, so.
And it's regenerative. We're going to keep recapturing back into the batteries. So yeah, it seems like this is a great initial start to electrify and create, some, even if they're small advantages right now. Hey, Steve, I got to cut you loose. We've got 4 calls left and 15 minutes, so we got to kind of do a speed round here. Let's go to Wisconsin. John, welcome.
Hi, Kevin. Have an idea for you, but you also have to talk to Toby about it.
Okay.
Get you and Bruce, and for running around the truck show, get you a Popemobile so you can go from site to site without interruption.
I think I've got a better idea. We just have to figure it out. It's kind of the way everybody ended up in that corner right there. That was kind of the Let's Truck area. Years ago, we went to the truck show and said, hey, we all work together and everybody knows us together, and they gave us that corner. Then we stopped going at all. But now that we're doing the CMC and we kind of have our own room, the problem is then you're off the show floor.
Right.
I'd like to be somewhere where everybody has to come to us. And again, we're all back in the same place again.
Yeah.
So the quick answer is have Pittsburgh Power build me a little broadcast table, and I'll just hang out there doing live shows from their booth.
Yeah, I know. The way it sounded, you were on one side of the area and needed to be on the other side of the area is what I was talking about.
That always, it always seems like wherever you have to go next is. I honestly have figured out that it is much, much faster to go outside. No matter where you're trying to get to and from, you're just better off going outside and go into the other building that way.
Yeah. Oh, have a good day. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for the tip. Let's go to Indiana. Steve. Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
Kevin?
Yep.
Hey, I like the fact that they put the
Hold on one sec. I like the fact that they put the show trucks out in front. That's where they should be.
Yeah, that was
Instead of
nice
in
to
the
see
back
that out
behind the
there.
West
Yeah,
booth.
I did like that a lot.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully they keep that up too. Steve, what's on your mind today?
Hey, good afternoon. Getting to y'all talked about the adaptive cruise control, and I did a lot of testing on mine. I do a lot of 30-day testing on everything, and I got a 2020 Freightliner DD15 228 direct drive, and I got a lifetime average of 8.63 going through the mountains of West Virginia twice a week. So,
Nice.
yeah, I don't have perfect level ground, so I do pretty well with that. But what I found was in testing it, you were right, the GPS function. You're actually, when you're in West Virginia, just keep it off. All right, just keep it off. You're better off, much better. But when we're on the the running along where the bridges, you go up and then down, it will pick you up just a little bit. Then it'll go in E-coast mode to save you some fuel as you're topping that hill and coming down and building momentum down a little bit, just a small hill, the other side. And that's where they get I think a lot of the built-in fuel economy comes from there.
Right.
I actually like when somebody passes me that it backs me off a little bit. It does not, Bruce, it does not, it has smart cruise control. It does not put the gas to it, put the pedal to it in coming back up. Matter of fact, in my testing I found, once I get it going, if I put it on cruise from like 5 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, it changes the gears better. And if I did that for a month and then did it myself, I tend to be pushing too much fuel down with my right foot and leaving stoplights and things like that. I do better. I do overall better with that. So a lot of things I like about it, like you say, in the hills, like you're talking about, the mountains and all, I get all the momentum I can downhill, coming back up that other side. And the adaptive works a lot better than the old dumb cruise control that just throws the fuel to it. So that's the biggest thing I found in my testing. But it does work well. And like I say, I drive 60 miles an hour and I'm in the right lane. Somebody passes me, I might slow down 2 or 3 miles an hour. I mean, it's okay. My logistics, I can make it during the week and I'd use less fuel. And like I say, it's been very profitable to be able to get, overall average of 8.63 over the years. And I've had it 3.5 years, 445,000 miles, and no parked regens, because every 25 gallons gets an ounce of max mileage, and I've got 10 hours of total idle time in 3.5 years. So
wow.
So we don't idle. But yeah, what you can, like Kevin talked about, there's so many variables. You have to do everything you do when you're testing things has to be a 30-day average, because otherwise, on one trip you can have just a little bit of difference in the wind, and it can make 0.8 on that leg, 0.8 of a mile per gallon difference.
Yeah.
Or maybe a mile per gallon. And that's why I like the 30-day average that you came up with years ago, and that's the way I've done all my testing.
I haven't said this in a long time, and I don't even know where the list is anymore. I was keeping a list of everything I figured out that could affect fuel economy, whether it was in our control or not. And a lot of it just isn't in our control. But I was up to like 80 different things. When you think about that,
you were actually going to write a book about it too. You remember the book you were going to write about it?
I have a whole bunch of I have a whole bunch of stories people submitted about what they learned on. So I had all kinds of great material. It's just I hate writing, absolutely hate writing. I just can't do it.
I agree.
So.
I agree. But you know what? You actually just do a show one day, nothing on just kind of go down your list and get through all 80 some of them that you can. And put the feedback in there with it on the show, and kind of pin that show to where we can, people that are teaching shows like that, you can pin it up near the top where guys can go look at it and say, hey, I've got 2 or 3 hours here of learning a whole lot about fuel economy.
You just gave me a good idea.
Without everybody else calling in something different.
You just gave me a good idea. We should do a mini series like we do on a lot of the health topics. We do a 2 or 3 or 4 part mini series. And we don't take calls. We usually just get the material out, so then you could go back. That would be great. We could do an episode on Tuesdays with Pittsburgh Power. We could do Fridays with the fuel mileage guys, and just create a fuel mileage mini series instead of a book. That'd be a great idea.
Right, exactly. So, but we appreciate everything all you guys do, and we will see y'all next time.
All right. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Illinois. Steve, welcome to the program.
Is that me?
It's you. What's on your mind today?
Well, I don't know. You said Steve about 3 times now. My God, is it me again? What the hell?
Lots of Steves today.
Okay, I got you. You'd be happy to know I got rid of the Kenworth T680 I had called you guys about with the PowerHour drivetrain. I finally got tired of spending all the money on it and sent it to the sale the other day, but
Okay.
done with it. So I did everything right except one thing. I bought a 2017 Freightliner Cascadia DD15, factory specs, 400 horsepower, 241 gears. I was all great until, well, the transmission's DT12, direct drive, no overdrive. And I'm going, crap, I'm not going to get the mileage I'm looking for because I've got no overdrive. So the problem is, you want to run 70 mile an hour, you're right at 1,500. In order to get it down to like 12 and a half, you got to run about 60.
Yeah, so this one has been spec'd to run slow and slow only. This is almost the opposite of what we're doing, where we have 3 top gears we can run in. So you can run from 55 to 75 pretty efficiently. This one is kind of the way I used to build my trucks. Always in direct and never more than 60 miles an hour. And I could do that because my operation was so scheduled. So that made sense for me. I didn't need a whole bunch of gears to run in. This was a really good spec for me. And this could be a good truck if you can put it in an operation where you just don't need to go faster than 60.
And most of the loads I pull are right at the regular rates, 70,000 or thereabouts. And if I run 70, I'm about 6.5 mileage. And if I run right around 60 to 62, I can get it up to the mid sevens.
Even that seems low.
Yeah, that's about the best it's done so far. Now, I do run catalyst. I've run it in all of my trucks, and I started this thing out immediately with catalyst.
Good.
And I can tell you, the guy I got it from, I've known him for a long, long time. Great guy. And I actually pull for him. I'm leased to him. I pull for him. And I was wanting to get rid of that other truck. Told him I sent it to sale. I got to get something else. It's killing me. 45 grand I spent on that thing in the last year and a half, fixing everything. It's just going nuts. PowerHour is, I'm convinced they are junk. But, yeah, Kevin, I know you agree. Anyway, so this truck was in the shop, had been sitting for 7 or 8 months because he blew the one box on it. And he wasn't sure what he was going to do. Well, he had it in the shop at the time, and I was there at the same shop at our tech we use, and I saw this truck. I'm like, you know what? What do you want for that truck? I know you're putting a one box on it right now and everything. And the entire depth system was done while it was still in the shop. I bought it. New one box, new DPF filters, new pump, new doser, and everything on this thing has been completely redone for the depth system. But so I started running catalyst, and I think it should be getting better mileage out of the catalyst. I mean, out of the depth than I am. I've been checking it, and I'm getting right around 160 miles per gallon out of the catalyst or the depth. I'm thinking, with all new depth system and this thing as clean as it is, running catalyst, I should be closer to around the 200 miles, but it's staying right around 160. I thought that was a little low, but
Leroy,
that's where that's at. But
you track this number a lot, don't you?
Yeah, we keep a pretty good tab on it. And I'm going to intervene here real fast.
Sure.
Another conversation I had down this morning. Every truck and every driver is different. So if you have the identical truck to the guy right beside you, and you're definitely up to 160 miles per gallon, and your buddy is at 200, there's nothing wrong with the truck. Yeah, they give you a very wide range spectrum. Cummins is between 120 and 2.
Well, they just say 3 or 4% of your fuel mileage.
Yeah, which comes out.
Fuel mileage has a big variance, and so does your DEF consumption.
Yeah. So don't get too focused on the number. As long as it's within range of spec, you're okay. And being that your gear ratio and your RPMs are up there a little bit, you're going to probably consume a little bit more depth. Your RPM is up to, what'd you say, 1,500 down the highway?
If you're at
No.
70, yeah. If I can run slower, I will. But a lot of loads I've got to run pretty quick, and I run a lot of miles. I mean, I'm running over 4,000 miles a week most weeks.
Make sure if you are going to run those kind of speeds and that RPM that you do not miss a tank of catalyst. That is hard on those emissions to run those kind of RPMs. It just doesn't hold any heat in the system.
Well, Kevin, I didn't know if in 17 if this is a more of a downsped motor or if it's
Either way,
regular where they run higher RPMs.
just so we know, today when we're talking about like a downsped Volvo driveline, Mack driveline, Freightliner driveline, we're talking 900 and 1,000. That's downsped.
Right.
There's almost nothing that should be running more than 12 these days. Maybe the ISX and the PowerHour at 13. That's kind of pushing it. Nothing should be running at 15. And you will create emissions problems if you're up there. And the catalyst is your only solution.
I'll try to run it slower when I've got the time I'm able to do that. But the other issue I've got is the stupid thing is stuck in economy mode because I think it was a Crete fleet truck at one time, and it's still in economy mode. And I'm going up a big steep hill mountain. I've been over in your area a lot. Matter of fact, I stopped in and talked to Chelsea a few weeks ago and bought a bunch of junk. But anyway, wonderful daughter you got there. Anyhow,
thank you.
Going up a big steep hill, and she's in 12th gear, and you drop all the way to 1,000 RPMs before it downshifts, and it doesn't go from 12th to 11th. It'll downshift from 12th to 10th. I'm like, what the hell?
No, that's how it should be happening. That's not a bad thing at all. That skip shifting, and it's reaching down to get to its power band. And the problem is you're geared so goofy that it's hard for it to stay in its power band.
Right.
But that's what it's attempting to do. Right. It wants to get down there where you've got the torque, but you're geared so funny it's just not working well. If you're obviously you're going to keep this truck, this may be.
Yes.
The problem is you just can't change the rear end gears. You've got to change transmission, which could get very expensive.
Well,
why can't we take the two?
Else done too.
Why can't we take the 241s and put the 217s or 228s in it?
You might be able to, but I guess because we could run a gear down when we need to. We could probably widen that power band some with some nice tall gears. Be worth a shot.
That would be about the only thing I could think.
It'd be worth a shot to try that.
Up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, see, even taking off, like every time you take off, it takes off in first gear no matter what you're doing. Loaded or empty, it'll take off in first, and then it'll go straight from first to fourth or first to third.
Again,
depending on if you're loaded. You're empty to go to fourth.
The skip shifting is a good thing. I mean, when I used to...
Right. And
when I used to shift and taught people how to progressive shift, when you're heavy, you progressive shift fast. When you're lighter and you don't have the load, you skip shift more often. And those transmissions are just designed to do that. Well, you can change all those parameters too. You can set the start gear.
I had sent an email to Pittsburgh Power, but I think it went to the info email, so no one's ever responded about putting a tune in this thing. I would like to bump it up to the 500 horsepower range, take it out of the economy mode, and get it off this starting out in first gear every time we stop.
Yeah, all that can be changed.
Some of the way it shifts. And maybe it would help a little bit on the fuel mileage. I don't know if tuning it would help much there, but it's just such a dog going up the hills at all. It just, it's 400 horsepower and it's just not there. I just like it a little bit better than that. So I'd like to see about getting a tune. And, go through Pittsburgh to get that done.
Pittsburgh Power is going to be able to help you a lot with this one.
Okay, I think so too. I just believe it's a good base to have with the luck and everything I had, the money I spent on that PowerHour. I wanted this. I mean, on 600,000 miles of 17, and it's very strong. The motor's beautiful. Everything else has been done to it. That all the money he spent over $20,000 on it, getting everything done on the DEF system and other stuff that was done. And I'm just like, the big stuff's already been done. This truck should be good for a long time. You know, I didn't like the fact that direct drive, but everything else is right. So
Yeah.
you know,
All right.
I think I
Hey,
started out good, but
yep.
that's
Hey,
all I had, guys. Thanks.
yep. We got to move along. We've got 2 more calls. We're out of time, but I'm going to take these 2 calls because they've been waiting patiently. John in Florida, it's your turn.
Hi. Are you guys familiar with Rislone makes a diesel DEF treatment, as in diesel exhaust fluid, that's supposed to prevent crystallization? Are you familiar with that? Anybody?
I am not.
I saw them talking about it online the other day, but I haven't heard of it before then.
Yeah, same here. I was just wondering if I don't have a big problem with crystallization. I was just you certainly see it on the pumps. Last
Yeah,
question.
they were, and then
and
somebody said
never
something
more
about they
than
use like Cascade or something, like dish detergent. But that's Facebook comments. But I think Joel said he was gonna guys and see what the story is on it.
Okay. Kevin, I got in a discussion with a trucking friend of mine with Landstar. When we buy fuel, I use the Landstar app and I take off IFTA, so I'm comparing my price of gasoline of diesel from one state to another.
Okay.
Is that the correct way? His philosophy is buy a little bit in the states that you consume and whatever your report is at the end of the month. And I'm like, that's like
Stop, you're killing me. That is now a 30-year-old strategy that has not worked for 30 years. We have to go back to prior to IFTA even existing, which very few people can remember. I think it was early 90s. And you used to have to fill out an individual fuel tax report for every state you had miles or gallons in. And many of those states did not return your credits. So the strategy back then made sense. You spread it out so nobody got too deep into you for credits. That went away the day they enacted IFTA. And nobody should be buying their fuel like that. Not only is it a waste of time, but you will overpay for fuel every time. You are doing it correctly. All we care about now, we don't care about the fuel tax part because you can't change that. All we care about is, are we buying the base fuel as cheap as we can buy it? And that's how you do it, by looking at the base price, comparing different states. I have a course about it in our tribe site that walks you through this, shows you how it works when you fill out your fuel tax report, and gives you all kinds of details. But this is not an opinion. This is math. It's black and white. The only way to get the best fuel price is to do exactly what you're doing.
Well, you're the judge. We had a $100 bet, so we'll see if he.
Well, my commission for winning this for you is only like 30%. So.
All right. Thanks for all you guys do. Bye.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. All right, let's see. We've got one more. We're going to knock out this last call, and I have got to get out of here. Let's go to Washington. Arthur, welcome.
Yes, good morning, gentlemen. Just a quick update. I called maybe a month or 2 ago regarding a spill of a catalyst in my Honda van. And I tried everything that was recommended, including I heard the scientists call back and talk about the hydrocarbons and tried all the stuff that was said, but still no luck and still having the odor issue. And just curious to see if there's anything else that could be done to get rid of that catalyst odor. My wife is threatening to take my pickup truck, and that's a big no-no.
There
But
you
did
go.
you spill catalyst in her Honda?
Yeah, in the Honda minivan. So I tried your simple green option. I tried that those other chemicals that you recommended, and it masked it temporarily. But once it dissipated, the catalyst smell was there, and I've been leaving the windows and sunroof open every day since that spill, and it's still there. It's not as strong as it was before, but it's there. Any other recommendations?
Yeah, I carry it in my cars, I carry it in my motorcycle, and I hardly smell it. But anyway, what about one of those where you can go to the hardware store and rent the carpet cleaner machine, and it injects the water and sucks it back out?
I actually have one of those carpet cleaners, and I've tried the extractors. I've tried all kinds of different carpet and shampoo chemicals that claim to neutralize or eliminate odors, and it masks it temporarily, but it's still there after it dries out, and the whatever chemicals they use to, I would say, I guess, just cover it up, still remain.
What was that main thing that Dr. Jane Gates said to put on it? I forget what that was. Was it baking soda?
Yeah, that's where I'm going with Bruce. My family had a car dealership, and for years we would get cars traded in that had horrible odors in them from smoking, food, whatever it may be. Go to the grocery store and buy a tinfoil pie pan, the little ones you can get, like 8 or 10 inches in diameter. Get a couple of them, and a couple boxes of Arm & Hammer baking powder, or baking soda. Baking soda, the Arm & Hammer one in the orange box. Empty a box in each one of those pans and seal the car up. Put the windows up, shut the sunroof, leave it sit for a weekend. The baking soda will neutralize the odors and absorb it into it. If it's still there, repeat it. And do that a couple times. That should get rid of the chemical smell out of the carpet.
I know when I spilled gas in my car, it took like 2 months. I tried baking soda. I tried everything. It just took months for that smell to go away.
Leroy, gas is easy. Just throw a match in there.
Well, yeah, at this point, it's a 2008. It might just be cheaper to do it that way.
So, Bruce,
if
if you could ask Dr. Jane if she knows where the odor originates, what is in there, if it's what's called an organic compound.
She had said it was the hydro. Yeah, she had said it was the hydrocarbons that create the odor.
So I'd have to check. There's a product on the market now. It's fairly recent called Poof, P-O-O-P-H.
Poof?
Yeah, and it's used in like water treatment plants, sewage treatment plants, landfills. It actually takes the odor apart chemically. So, like ammonia, you can spray this stuff on ammonia, and instantly there is no smell of ammonia left. So it can only work on certain compounds, but if it will work on that, it's pretty incredible because it literally just takes the molecules apart chemically, and the smell disappears instantly.
Okay, I'll have to look at that one.
Question.
What's that?
Okay. All right. Oh, I just said I'll take a look into that one. Poof,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. P-O-O.
And I'll try that baking soda and yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, that's all I had.
That's all we need. Anybody with any final words of wisdom? It's been a great show. Our live stream on X kept growing and growing and growing. I don't think we were losing anybody. We ended up we have over 800 listeners watching live on X, and we got a bunch on Facebook and YouTube. So that looks like that was a success today. Lots of comments. Other than that, I think we're going to wrap this up. We will see you back here tomorrow for Destination Health. We'll see you back here next Tuesday for the Power Hour. In the meantime, if you have any questions, give them a call there at Pittsburgh Power. Remember to support them. They support us with a lot of hours here on the air helping people. We'll see you then. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey.